Is it really that expensive? Jason blinked, incredulous. The thought that a single B-rank angry beast crystal could fetch such a high price stunned him. Based on his understanding, 1,000 gold coins here would be equivalent to roughly $100,000 back in his world. Of course it is, Galady replied calmly. On Acadia's continent, there are only 5 known grades of angry beasts. The primary value of their crystals lies in how they enhance an anger master's power. But D-rank crystals, the most common, barely make any difference. They're practically worthless in terms of performance. You're lucky to sell one for 10 gold coins. In fact, we used to get only 6 apiece. Before Galady could continue, Marty burst out angrily. TMD, that damn merchant ripped us off. We should go back and settle that score. Jason rolled his eyes. Seriously? It's business, Marty. Of course, they're going to make a profit. He gestured for Galady to continue. Galady paused for a moment to gather her thoughts. C-rank crystals aren't much better in terms of power, but they're useful for fueling certain devices or machines. That utility gives them higher value, usually around 30 to 40 gold coins. That's why they're a favorite target for low-tier hunters who survive by harvesting beast crystals. We really got lucky last time then, Villian chimed in. Galady nodded, the memory still fresh in his mind. We encountered those hyenas in broad daylight when they were at their weakest. If it had been at night, he shook his head, we might not have made it back alive. Jason, thoughtful, asked, then A-rank beast crystals must be worth a fortune? Absolutely. Just like A-rank anger masters, A-rank beasts are extremely rare. In the entire southern region, there's only one known A-rank master, Lord Dawn. That should tell you how precious an A-rank crystal is. It could easily go for over 10,000 gold coins. Jason's eyes widened. Marty, catching on, exclaimed, then an S-rank crystal must go for what? 100,000? Galady chuckled. Not quite. You're thinking too simply. S-rank angry beasts are legendary, only appearing once in a century. When rumors surface of one being found, every major power scrambles to obtain it. These crystals are never sold casually. They're auctioned, fought over, even killed for. Sometimes, not even mountains of gold are enough. Jason listened intently, committing everything to memory. When Galady finally paused, he turned to her and asked, how do you know all this? I checked the old Jason's memories, and there's nothing. Galady gave him a blunt look. That's because while I was studying this stuff, you were out drinking yourself stupid. Jason laughed awkwardly, scratching his head. Well, those days are behind me now. Let's not bring up ancient history. TCH, that's the life of a noble, huh? Marty muttered, half bitter, half envious. While you were partying and getting an education, I was just trying to figure out how to get my next meal. Jason put a hand on Marty's shoulder. Don't worry. Someday, you'll have your own surname, just like a noble. I'll make sure of it. From now on, we're brothers. No more class differences, Villian added warmly. Marty grinned. Then I'll always have your backs. And I'll clear the thorns from your path, Galady said with a proud nod. And I'll be your sweetheart, cheering you on every day, Villian added with a wink. Jason laughed. Then I'll do my part by thriving under your protection. Galady stood beside him and added solemnly, anyone who wants to harm our young master will have to go through me first. Before Marty could add his own pledge, the group shouted in unison, me too. Marty blinked. That was my line. The group erupted in laughter, and Jason couldn't help but chuckle at Marty's timing. With spirits high and a goal in sight, they decided they would head to the Zorn Mountains to hunt angry beasts and earn their crystals with their own strength. Jason could have asked his father for help, but his pride wouldn't allow it. Ever since reaching adulthood, he'd made a vow never to take money from his parents again. This time, he wanted to carve his own path. No shortcuts. 3 months later, summer had quietly slipped away, replaced by the golden hues of early autumn. Leaves fell gently from the trees, dancing in the breeze. Jason's arm, once injured, had fully healed. Today was the day. The team had agreed to reunite and return to the Zorn Mountains to hunt for more angry beast crystals. Jason, Galady, and Marty stood by the castle gate, ready to set off. But someone was missing. "Where's Villian?" "We've been waiting over an hour," Marty said with a hint of irritation, glancing at Galady. Galady shrugged. "No idea. I messaged her before coming. No response yet. TCH. Two clueless guys who still don't get girls." Marty sighed dramatically. "You two are hopeless. Clearly a couple of straight-laced guys who know nothing about women." Jason smirked, hands in his pockets, as he glanced at Galady and Marty. Compared to his previous life, where he'd been a married man, these two really were clueless. Galady and Marty blinked at him in unison. Jason grinned smugly. "Think about it. It's early autumn, the best season for fashion. Not too hot, not too cold. Girls love this time of year because they can layer up, accessorize, and experiment. Trust me, Villian's probably picking out her look right now. He still couldn't get over the variety of clothing in this world. Almost like stepping into a stylized fantasy anime. Stylish yet functional. It fascinated him. As if on cue, Galady and Marty gave Jason a once-over and realized he was dressed exceptionally well today. He wore a sleek black leather jacket, fitted dark trousers that emphasized his tall frame, a Lion Hill hunting sword strapped to his side, and ankle-high leather boots. With his confident bearing, he looked every bit the part of a seasoned ranger. And they looked down at themselves. Marty was in a worn vest with his muscular arms fully exposed, while Galady sported the same battered white armor he'd worn for years. "It's just clothes," Galady muttered defensively. "No need to obsess over appearances." Jason clicked his tongue. "Brother, haven't you heard? Clothes make the man. If you don't clean up your act, how are you going to find a wife?" "Exactly," came Villian's voice from behind them. The trio turned and froze. Whoa! Villian had outdone herself. She wore a snug, black leather jacket that hugged her curves, paired with black shorts and twin daggers sheathed at her waist. Long black stockings ran down her legs, adding a mysterious charm that turned heads. Her silver hair, half-tied in a loose bun, flowed over one shoulder, catching the early morning light. She was sexy, cute, and cool, like a rogue from a storybook. Jason blinked. "I feel like this is what falling in love at first sight feels like." Villian approached and raised a brow. "Well, are you guys going to stand there drooling, or are we leaving?" Jason was the first to recover. He smacked both Galady and Marty on the back. "Snap out of it. Marty, you're literally drooling." "Wah!" Marty wiped his mouth quickly, red with embarrassment. Jason turned to Villian with a genuine smile. "You look amazing, Villian. Hee-hee, and the young master looks dashingly handsome today." She grinned back. "All right, we can flirt on the road. Let's move. We're losing daylight." Laughing and teasing one another, the group departed the city gates, their steps light with camaraderie and anticipation. Meanwhile, in the city lord's mansion, boom, 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 heavy knocks echoed through the chamber doors. Inside, Lord Cardeas stirred, groaning irritably. His arm was draped lazily over a naked woman beside him, her once enticing form now holding no interest. A servant girl nearby tried to gently rouse him. "My lord, someone's at the door." Cardeas' eyes opened slowly, dark with displeasure. He glanced at the woman beside him and scowled. Without a word, he grabbed her by the hair and hurled her off the bed. "Ah!" she screamed, landing hard on the stone floor. Cardeas watched her curl up, naked and trembling. "I hate being woken up," he muttered coldly. "And my lord, forgive me," the woman sobbed, crawling backward and begging with her head lowered. Cardeas ignored her and barked at the door. "Who is it? Enter." The door creaked open. Vinos, one of his personal guards, stepped in. His gaze briefly flicked to the woman on the floor. Her bruised beauty stirred something primal in him. But Cardeas' sharp voice snapped him back to reality. "What is it, Vinos?" "Forgive me, my lord," Vinos said, stiffening. "News just arrived. Jason has left the city again. Should we act?" Cardeas sneered. "No, he's nothing but a dancing clown. Let him play his little games. Our real concern is Munster. He's the obstacle in our path." "As you command," Vinos replied, bowing low. Cardeas paused, then gestured toward the woman on the floor. You seem to like her? Venus blinked. I do, my lord. Ha ha. Then she's yours. Take her. Thank you, my lord. Thank you. Venus moved to help the woman dress, but Kylida snapped again. What do you think you're doing? I just thought I'd let her get dressed first. Kylida chuckled darkly. Where's the fun in that? Leave the clothes. She's sexier without them. Venus hesitated, then grinned wickedly and nodded. As you wish.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Venus stood still at a loss. Venus glanced at the lovely and pitiful woman on the ground, and he couldn't bear it. After all, it was an insult to any woman to let a woman go out without clothes in broad daylight. What? You don't want it? Kylida's cold voice brought Venus back to his thoughts, and Kylida also showed a very angry look. Looking at Kylida's murderous eyes, Venus couldn't help but tremble. No, I'll take her away, Winos said, immediately picked up the woman and left like this. Ha ha ha. Kylida laughed triumphantly after teasing them. On the other side, Jason and his party have arrived at the gate of Sagos. We have to be more careful this time, and don't be as embarrassed as last time. Jason said to everyone, It's okay. As the saying goes, once you're born and you're familiar with, if I meet a group of hyenas this time, I won't be like last time. I'll go directly to deal with the hyena king who took the lead. Marty said, loudly shouted. Okay, that's what you said. When we meet a hyena, we'll look at you. Villian continued. You too. Can't you hope for something better? We won by pure luck last time. I feel scared thinking about it now. Jason complained. How many of you are going to hunt angry beasts? A hoarse, low voice came. Jason turned his head to follow the voice and found that it was a peddler at the gate of the city talking. The peddler is a man in his 40s with a beard and a scruffy look, wearing a big cowboy hat, lazily lying on a rocking chair. The table, with all kinds of exquisite things placed on it, doesn't look like someone who came to do business at all, but like someone who came here to rest. As a businessman, you don't go to the city to set up a stall, but here, can you sell things? Jason walked to the peddler's stall and looked through the things the peddler bought curiously. The vendor glanced at Jason and said lazily, The city is too noisy, and there are also taxes and many rules. I still like it here better. It's clean and free. How nice. It's really a strange guy. Business people don't like lively places. If you do business like you won't have to pay for it. Wylian came over and said to the peddler, Huh, what a superficial idea. As long as my things are good, no matter where I go, people will chase me to buy them. The peddler said confidently, Fool, we've been standing here for so long, and we haven't seen anyone shopping with you. Young master, let's go, don't waste time with him. Marty said to Jason. Jason patted Marty to make him calm down. Judging from Jason's previous experience in reading novels or TV dramas, the more eccentric the guy, the more likely he is an outsider. He still has a lot of love for this peddler. Interested. Boss, what do you sell? Can you introduce me? Jason picked up the bottles and cans on the booth and looked at them carefully. My things are all good things, but if you want me to introduce you, you have to pay 2 gold coins first. The peddler looked at Jason lazily and said, What the hell? You profiteer? Are you crazy about money? I asked you to introduce your things because our young master thinks highly of you. Mati slapped the hawker's booth heavily with both hands and yelled at the hawker, almost toppling the hawker's booth. Exactly. I really thought we were stupid, young master. Let's go, don't waste time here. As Villian said, he was about to pull Jason away. Jason chuckled. The more the peddler was like this, the more interested he was in that peddler, and he took out 2 gold coins from his pocket to the peddler without hesitation. The peddler handed it over. As the deputy city lord of Sagos, Jason has a monthly salary of -gold coins, and he takes care of food and housing. Jason has also saved a lot of money in the past few months. Young master. Both Marty and Villian had difficulty understanding Jason's actions. Wait, they all call you young master. It seems that you have a lot of background. You should be a nobleman, right? Then I will naturally increase the price. Otherwise, I won't be worthy of your status. 5 gold coins will be fine. The peddler suddenly backtracked and said to Jason with a hint of cunning, "Don't go too far. How can you raise prices like this? A profiteer like you should be arrested directly." Villian also slapped the table and yelled at the peddler, "I marked the price clearly. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. If you don't, you could just leave." The peddler said, unmoved, "Young master, let's go. A profiteer like him probably won't buy anything good." Willian pouted angrily and pulled Jason to leave. "5 gold coins for you. Can you speak now?" Jason took out another 5 gold coins from his pocket and handed them to the peddler. "Young master." Villian and Marty both looked at Jason incomprehensibly. They didn't know why Jason knew he was a profiteer and jumped into the pit by himself. "Okay, as expected of a nobleman, he has courage, so let me tell you about it." The peddler put away the 5 gold coins contentedly, picked up a white porcelain bottle, and said to Jason, "This is a recovery pill made of various precious materials. As long as you don't suffer a life-threatening injury, just eat one and rest for 10 minutes, and the wounds on your body can heal. This is equivalent to a blood bag. This thing is fine." Jason thought to himself, "I want this. How much is it?" Jason said without hesitation after hearing the efficacy of the magic pill this time. "Seeing how straightforward you are, I'm too lazy to cheat you. It's not expensive, 5 gold coins." The peddler said with a smile, "5 gold coins are not expensive, are you? You really know how to do business. Just now you deliberately asked us for 5 gold coins to explain the fee, to increase our psychological maturity, and then the price of your items is too high. I said right." Colradi, who hadn't spoken for a long time, looked at the vendor with a smile and slowly walked towards him. "Hey, it seems that there's another one with a lot of knowledge." The peddler pushed the black-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose and said to Galati. The peddler carefully looked at Gallardi's silver hair, rolled his eyes, looked at Jason again, and said to Gallardi, "Boy, if I guess correctly, your father is Martin Owen, right? And this the father of the blonde kid who spent a lot of money and is also known as the young master, should be even more amazing." It seemed that the peddler had already guessed the life experience of Jason and the others, which made Jason even more sure that this peddler was definitely not that simple, and he became more and more curious about him. "That's right. This is the son of Don Ryan, the majestic lord of the southern border, Jason Ryan." After hearing what the peddler said, Marty immediately stood up and said coquettishly, as if he himself was the son of the lord of the southern border, "Your Excellency must be Mr. Fergic, the owner of the so-called mobile treasure store, Nancy Shop?" Collardy asked the peddler respectfully. "Moving treasure?" Everyone looked at Garrity suspiciously, waiting for Gaddy to explain to them. "If you want to understand Nancy's store, you must first know how powerful this Mr. Fergie is." Galady looked at Fergie with admiration in his eyes and said to everyone, "What's so great about him? He looks sloppy, cunning, and obscene." Villian pointed to Fergie and said, "Little girl, you can talk nonsense, you can change boyfriends, but you can't eat." Fergie had almost finished speaking before he realized that he had said everything wrong. Villian must not be rude. This Mr. Fergie is the greatest forging master in the Cardeas continent. He has created countless magical weapons. He used to rely on his own D-level talent, all kinds of tools made, and the current king, the only S-level strongman on the mainland, are inseparable. Galady talked about Fergie's legendary experience with admiration. "What?" Both Villian and Marty opened their mouths wide and looked at this sloppy uncle in disbelief. Although Jason had already had a premonition that this vendor was no ordinary person, he didn't expect that he was not even remotely strong. "No wonder you said that many people are chasing after you to buy your things. So, you're a big shot. Go back to the magic pill, I want it. What other good things do you have?" Jason said to Fergie with a smile, "There are so many good things. Since you're going to hunt angry beasts, I will recommend some potions that are more suitable for hunting angry beasts." As he spoke, Fergie began to pick up those bottles and jars and introduce them to Jason. "This is the anger pill, which is refined from the anger extracted from the anger beast crystal. After taking it, it can double the strength of your anger in a short time. But within 10 minutes after use, there will be backlash, which will make you feel weak all over your body, and it can have a strong effect when you are desperate to make a last-ditch effort. There is also this. Fergie explained 5 or 6 kinds of potions to Jason in one breath, some of which were recovery like the rejuvenation pill, some were boosters, and some were damage, all of which sounded powerful anyway. Okay, I want all the types you mentioned. How much is the total? Jason asked Fergie straightforwardly. Not much, a total of 30 gold coins. Fergie quoted to Jason. It is good. Jason took out all the belongings he had accumulated in the past few months from his pocket and handed it to Fergie. For the extra money, just bring me a few more bottles of Huishin pill. No problem. Fergie took the gold coin from Jason and handed 6 or 7 bottles of medicine to Jason. Originally, Jason wanted to see other things of Fergie, but medicines are so expensive, and they're not much cheaper than other things. He is now penniless. Hey, it seems that no matter where you go, money is very important. Thinking to himself, Jason glanced at the other items in Fergie's booth with some reluctance, shook his head, and prepared to leave. Let's go, Senior Fergie. The junior is leaving. After Jason and Fergie greeted each other, he was about to leave and continue to the Zorn Mountains. Wait a moment. Fergie stopped Jason suddenly. Huh? Senior, what else can you do? Jason turned his head and asked Fergie. How should I say? Your father and I used to have a little friendship, and you bought so many things for me, so I will give you some small gifts. As he spoke, Fergie took out 3 hair-thin needles. If it weren't for the golden color of the needles, they could hardly be seen. What's here? An embroidery needle? Villian gently touched her lips with a finger and asked Fergie with a puzzled expression. Embroidery needles? Ha. This is much more powerful than embroidery needles. It's called flowering needles, and it's an extremely lethal weapon. Take care. As he spoke, Fergie took out a flowering needle and injected a trace of anger into it. The flowering needle immediately emitted a restless light. Fergie aimed at a big tree not far away and directly pressed the flowering needle. The needle was thrown towards a big tree, and the thin flowering needle sank into the big tree without a sound. It's nothing serious, is it? Marty complained from the side. Just watch it carefully. As soon as Fergie finished speaking, a dozen or 20 smaller golden needles flew out from the place where the flowering needle sank into the big tree. It didn't even look like there was any wound left, and if you didn't stare carefully, you wouldn't even feel that this happened. After injecting anger into the flowering needle, 10 seconds later the flowering needle will spread a dozen smaller and thinner gold needles around it, causing damage to the target. Fergie proudly explained the effect of his flowering needle to Jason and others. Cut! Such a small needle has no power at all. What's the use? It's completely tasteless. Maddie said nonchalantly. What a vicious weapon. Jason sighed involuntarily. Jason also thought that the flowering needle was not very good, but when he thought about it carefully, he felt that it was extremely terrifying. When he demonstrated it just now, it was just a big tree. The lethality of its internal organs is no small matter. If poison is applied again, then no one can withstand it. As long as the trick survives, the skin will peel off. What's so vicious? Villian asked Jason with some incomprehension. I'm afraid you two haven't figured it out. Gallaty also understood the horror of the flowering needle and explained it to Villian and Marty. How could there be such a vicious weapon? It's really scary. Wei Lian, who understood the power of the flowering needle, said in surprise. Cut. Vicious? In this world, the weak are preyed upon by the strong. Just because you are not vicious does not mean that others will not be vicious towards you. Do you want it or not? And I will put it away. Fergie was obviously a little impatient and urged Jason. Wandering beast hunting group? It literally means that you are running around. This name really has no technical content. Jason couldn't help complaining in his heart. Did you know that since our wandering beast hunting group was established 3 months ago, we have hunted and killed 2 sea-level angry beasts? All of its members are brave and good at fighting, and there are 3 angry masters in charge. The man proudly said to Jason, with a smug smile on his face. What the hell? Out of a dozen of you, Only 3 are anger masters? Jason asked in disbelief. You must know that hunting angry beasts for a living is a very risky profession. They might die at the mouth of angry beasts one day. These people don't even have anger. Dare to be a beast hunter, but maybe their 3 anger masters are particularly strong. Having hunted and killed 2 sea-level angry beasts in 3 months? No wonder you can only wander. It's not bad if you don't starve to death. Marty didn't feel cautious about this wandering hunting group at all and laughed at him carelessly. What did you say? Try to tell me again. How dare a guy with no hair grow to insult our wandering beast hunting group like this? The thin man was obviously a little unhappy to be provoked by Marty, and he yelled at Marty angrily. Marty, don't talk nonsense. Galati hurriedly interrupted Matty and said that provoking someone without knowing their strength is not a good decision. Don't worry, my guy is rude. I apologize to you on his behalf. I'm sorry, Jason said to the man in the lead. In our village, an impolite guy like your friend will be taught a lesson. The thin man looked visibly unhappy and said to Jason. As soon as the man finished speaking, the dozen or so people surrounding Jason got closer to them, tightly surrounding Jason and the others. We are all here to hunt angry beasts. There is no need for us to waste our respective efforts because of some trivial conflicts. What do you think? Jason tried to communicate with that man. Jason didn't want to cause trouble. Besides, the hunters of the General Beast Hunting Group are basically vicious people who hang their heads on their belts all day. I don't want to mess with you. The skinny man became even more arrogant when he saw Jason say good things. He laughed and said to Jason and the others, You young people of 17 or 18 are really too superficial. I understand, but you offended me. I can't just leave it like this. Otherwise, how can I leave my younger brothers to mess around? So what do you want? As Jason said, he clenched the lion hunting around his waist and was ready to fight at any time. Galati and the others also stared at the thin man, preparing to restrain him first if they really fought. However, Galati is not sure. This guy is also the leader of a hunting group, and his strength must not be underestimated. Galati is ready to fight hard at any time. Of course, my dignified Zhao Fei doesn't want others to say that I bully others with bullying, so I'll let the big boss who despised me just now come out and challenge me one-on-one. If he wins, I will let you go, but if I win him, kowtow to us and apologize. The thin man said confidently, as if he would definitely win. Jason didn't know whether to agree or not. Young master, just let me go. Let me solve the trouble I caused myself. And by the way, I also want to fight against the masters. Marty came to Jason's side, nervously and excitedly, and said to Jason, Then be careful and hide this just in case. Jason quietly pulled out a flowering needle from Fergie from his sleeve and handed it to Marty. Okay. Marty hid the flowering needle, took his axe, and came to stand in front of Zhao Fei. Young man, you have to be careful. With a cold smile, Zhao Fei pulled out the sword at his waist and pointed it at Marty. Marty, be careful. Jason was not only sweating for Marty, but also feeling in his heart why they were so unlucky and couldn't go smoothly. Young master, don't worry, skinny monkey, use whatever you can. As Marty spoke, he clenched the axe in his hand and prepared for a battle. Take the call. As Zhao Fei said, he made a handsome blow with the sword in his hand. How handsome! The commander is mighty. Zhao Fei's subordinates praised him without thinking. Zhao Fei listened to the shouts of his subordinates with an expression of enjoyment. Excuse me. Marty rushed toward Zhao Fei as soon as he spoke, and wrapped his whole body with armed anger. Zhao Fei was stunned when he saw the blue-armed anger on Marty. So, I didn't expect this guy to have sea-level anger, and the intensity of his anger seems to be obviously stronger than mine. Thinking in his heart, Zhao Fei couldn't help but swallowed his saliva. This time he was having a blast. He thought that Jason and the others were so cowardly that they should be weak to death. He didn't expect Marty to have a sea-level anger. Okay, seeing that Zhao Fei was motionless, Marty thought that Zhao Fei was going to make some big moves, so he stopped immediately, stared at Zhao Fei cautiously, and frowned. Boss, come on. Even if he is sea-level anger, but he is just a little boy, he should not be your opponent. Xiao Ke's subordinates all booed aside. What do you know? I'm called Yijing Break. Even if he is a little boy, he still needs to save face. How can I make him lose so badly? Where Xiao Ke was still standing, he said stubbornly. Gal lady, do you feel that Xiao Ke seems to be? Jason, who was watching the battle from the sidelines, communicated with Galactic in doubt. Well, I feel that Xiao Ke is not strong. Before Jason had finished speaking, Galactic knew what Jason was going to say, so he took it and continued. Well, I don't know if this guy is pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger, or is he really not strong? Jason looked at Xiao Ke suspiciously and said, Marty, don't be afraid of him. Villian shouted at Marty. Okay, let's take the move. Marty said, accumulating enough strength under his feet, jumped up high, and clenched the axe in his hands with both hands, and slashed at Xiao Ke's head and face. In a panic, Xiao Ke immediately used his armed anger to resist Marty's attack. This guy is just a sea-level guy. Jason looked at the blue anger exuding from Xiao Ke and said, Boom! Ma Ti's axe hit the sword that Xiao Ke was blocking in front of him heavily. Ma Ti's huge strength made Xiao Ke take several steps back to stabilize his center. This kid is so strong. It seems that his anger is obviously much thicker than mine. What should we do now? This guy looks like he's less than 20 years old, but he has such thick anger. Xiao Ke, who grew up in a small village, knew nothing about the outside world. He thought that the whole world was the same as their small village. There were not even many people who were angry. He was just a frog in the well. Xiao Ke looked around at his subordinates who were staring at him, knowing that it would be too embarrassing for him to admit defeat. It was possible that these subordinates who had been fooled by him would even give up and continue to follow him. Your Excellency, did you make a move? You are not letting me on purpose, are you? Marty scratched his head and asked Xiao Ke. Prepare to die. Xiao Ke knew that he could not lose the battle no matter what, so he gritted his teeth and rushed towards Marty. Come on. Marty prepared to meet Xiao Ke's attack. Xiao Ke felt the direction of the wind and found that his position was exactly upwind. He smiled ghostly, jumped up high, and sprinkled a handful of white powder into the air. The powder followed the direction of the wind and surrounded Ma Ti. Marty, be careful. Jason reminded Marty. What the hell? Marty said, covering his mouth and nose with his hands. While looking at it, Xiao Ke had already covered his mouth and nose with a piece of cloth and rushed towards Ma Ti quickly. Here comes the boss's trick, white mist kills. Xiao Ke's men all shouted excitedly. White mist kill. Jason looked at the white mist. From the way Xiao Ke covered his mouth and nose, it was clear that the white mist was definitely not a simple white mist. Xiao Ke harassed like an annoying mosquito, but he didn't confront Marty head-on. Ma Ti, who fought with one hand, was also clumsy in his movements and suffered a slight disadvantage in the scene. You guy, why are you like a fly? It's really annoying. Marty said that he looked at the right time, clenched the axe in his hand, turned his body, and took advantage of the opportunity to hit Xiao Ke, who came to his left with an axe. Xiao Ke just moved here, and before he could stand still, Marty's axe had already slashed at him. There was no way for Xiao Ke to turn around and inject armed anger into his sword to resist Marty's attack. This hit. Clang! With a crisp sound, Xiao Ke was directly knocked out by Ma Ti's axe. Xiao Ke flew 6 or 7 meters away before falling to the ground. Head! Head! Several of Xiao Ke's men immediately surrounded him and helped Xiao Ke up. This guy's brute force is amazing. Xiao Ke's right hand, which had just held the sword, had become numb after resisting Marty's blow. Don't you think it's the leader? A man who was supporting Xiao Ke whispered to Xiao Ke. He saw that it was obvious from the situation that Xiao Ke had no upper hand at all. No, the bull has already been blown out. If we let it go like this, what will our brothers think of me? Xiao Ke refused. I found out that you actually don't seem to be very powerful. Now, is it true that any anger master dares to recruit some people to form a beast hunting group? Marty stared at Xiao Ke and said, after a few rounds of fighting, Marty had suddenly realized that this guy was just an ordinary sea-level anger master, nothing powerful at all. It's funny how great they thought this guy was just now. What? I thought we were in big trouble, but it turns out... Tisk! Wei Yin looked at Xiao Ke, who was a little speechless, and shook his head. Is our leader going to lose? Yeah, it looks like that kid is better than our leader. Is it possible? Our leader won't be able to beat this kid. Didn't he say he is very powerful? Who knows? I've always been in the village before, and I haven't been out much. The guys surrounding Jason and his group all started talking. Jason also roughly understood from their words that they were actually a group of common people who had lived in remote villages since childhood and had almost never seen the world. And a person with sea-level anger appeared in their village. That is, Xiao Ke, who made them think that Xiao Ke was a great person. Xiao Ke, who had never seen the world, actually thought that he was very great, but I don't know that his greatness is only limited to their own village. Xiao Ke also said that he would take them out of the village to make a fortune. In fact, they did not know that there were a lot of sea-level anger masters like Xiao Ke on this continent, and there was nothing surprising at all. Marty, let's go. There's no need to waste time with them. Jason didn't want to embarrass these people, so he called Marty to turn around and leave. Stop. The competition is not over yet. You can't leave. Xiao Ke, who was humiliated, pushed away the two men who were supporting him and stood up. Do you still want to fight? You are not my opponent at all, and there is no point in continuing to fight. Just give up. Marty said that he withdrew his anger, turned around, and was about to leave. I told you to stop. As Xiao Ke said, he rushed towards Marty with a stride and slashed at Marty with his sword. Marty calmly turned his head, angered, and used the axe in his hand to drive away Xiao Ke's sword. His left hand grabbed Xiao Ke's collar, which was still in the air, and pulled it in his direction. He bent his knees and faced Xiao Ke's belly pushed. Xiao Ke, who had lost his balance, could only let Marty pull him. Helpless, Marty's knee hit Xiao Ke's abdomen heavily with blue armed anger. Even though Xiao Ke had armed anger protection, Marty's anger was obviously much stronger than his. Although Xiao Ke was not injured by this blow, it still made him feel the severe pain. Marty threw Xiao Ke out casually. No, I can't be defeated like this. If I lose like this, how can I face the villagers who followed me to fight? Xiao Ke, who was in the air, thought of this in his heart and managed to control his body in the air so that he did not fall to the ground again, but landed half kneeling. Who? Xiao Ke gasped for air, enduring the huge pain in his abdomen, insisting not to scream. Do you want to fight again? Marty raised his head and asked Xiao Ke disdainfully. Of course we will fight, Xiao Ke said, holding his sword and rushing towards Marty again. Oh, you're stubborn. Then you'll be blamed for not reminding you, ugh. Before Marty finished speaking, he felt a sudden numbness in his body, a little uncontrollable. Marty fell to his knees due to the numbness of his limbs, supporting himself with his arms and barely letting himself fall. What's going on? Marty said with difficulty. Oops, it seems that Maddie was poisoned, the white mist just now. Jason immediately reacted. Because of Xiao Ke's harassing attack just now, Marty forgot to resist the white mist. Now it is very likely that the toxicity of the white mist has exploded. Ha ha ha. That's right, the white powder I spilled just now is actually my homemade mafeezin. Although it will lose its effect within 10 minutes after being mixed in the air, but just now you just stood at the lower air outlet, so it can be said that it has been staying in the smoldering air. You were already poisoned the moment you withdrew your anger. Xiao Ke said proudly and continued to rush towards Marty. Oops, Galadee, go help a bunch of Martys. Jason immediately shouted to Galadee. No, let me deal with this guy myself. Save. He said we bully him. Marty said to Jason with difficulty, and stood up with difficulty, barely parrying Xiao Ke's attack. You are bound to lose. Admit defeat, Xiao Ke said and attacked Marty frantically. Marty, who was numb all over his body, struggled to resist, but the numbness made him not only move slowly, but also full of loopholes. Xiao Ke also found the right opportunity to fly the axe in Marty's hand, and slashed at Marty with his sword. Fortunately, Xiao Ke didn't swing the sword too fast, and Marty managed to dodge it, but Xiao Ke immediately kicked Marty in the stomach, kicking Marty far away and lying on the ground. Marty! Jason looked at Marty worriedly and shouted. It seems that this guy still has some skills. Otherwise, with their strength, They have come to the Zorn Mountains for so long, and they might have become the belly of the angry beast. Jason had a new understanding of Shao Ku in his heart. Eat my sword. Shao Ku took advantage of the victory and pursued, and quickly came to Marty's face and slashed at Marty. Marty rolled over on the spot to avoid Shao Ku's sword, and Shao Ku's sword hit the ground heavily. With a crisp sound of dang, Shao Ku's sword collided with the ground with armed anger and sparked bright sparks. Shao Ku didn't take back his sword, and just slashed him as he wiped the ground. Matty, who hadn't rolled on the ground and got up, could only gather armed anger on his arms in a hurry, and crossed his arms to block Shao Ku's attack. Seeing that his sword was blocked, Shao Ku used his feet to force himself, jumped up high, and stepped hard on Matai's chest. Matty, whose body was numb, had no time to dodge, and was directly stepped on by Shao Ku's foot with the force of falling. The kick directly penetrated Marty's armed anger, and kicked Marty's chest heavily. He spit out a mouthful of blood. "Brother, young master, hurry up and help Marty." Villian shouted anxiously to Jason and Galactic. "No, it's Marty's own battle. Let him figure it out. I'm sure he can." Galady stared at Marty resolutely. He fought with Marty, thinking that Marty should not be defeated by such a trick. "You're doomed." Shao Ku saw that the blow had succeeded, so he repeated the same trick, jumping higher here. The armed anger on his feet gathered more and stronger, and stomped towards the horse. At this critical moment, Marty suddenly put away his armed anger. What is Marty doing? Jason couldn't help but feel tense when he saw this. Marty is exhausted and unable to express his anger, right? Collardy said in a panic. In this case, even if they wanted to save Marty, it was too late, so they could only pray for Marty in their hearts. Crack! The moment Shao Ku's foot stepped on Marty, there was a sound of bone breaking, and Marty spit out a big mouthful of blood in response. "Sorry I won." Ugh! Shao Ku looked proudly at Marty under his feet. When he saw Marty's expression, Shao Ku couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Marty was actually laughing, and he was smiling very proudly. In the next second, Marty focused all his remaining anger on his right hand, grabbing Shao Ku's foot that was stepping on his chest. "Who do you think wins?" Marty roared angrily, grabbed Shao Ku's feet, and threw Shao Ku heavily to the ground. Boom! Shao Ku was thrown heavily to the ground. Cracked were smashed into the ground. Even though Shao Ku had an armed anger body shield, he still couldn't take it anymore. The severe pain in his whole body almost made him want to pass out. Shao Ku gritted his teeth and was about to stand up when Matty's bowl-sized fist rushed towards him. Boom! Marty's fist hit Shao Ku's face. Shao Ku lost consciousness when his eyes went dark and passed out. "Captain!" Several of Shao Ku's men saw that Shao Ku had fallen and ran over quickly. I already said I was the winner." Marty looked at Shao Ku, who was knocked unconscious by his own punch, and said with a smile he was about to fall down as soon as he finished speaking, and Jason just rushed over to support him. "You did a good job, kid. Take a good rest," Jason said, and handed Marty a recovery pill for him to take. Shao Ku's men were all staring at Jason and the others, as if they were not planning to leave yet. "What? Do you still want to fight? If you want to, let me play with you." Karate walked over, speaking and releasing his armed anger. With a bang, a dazzling yellow light appeared around Galati. What level of anger is this? I don't know. I haven't seen it, and I haven't heard of it. It looks like it's much stronger than our leaders. Shao Ku's men all looked at Garrity in horror. "Retreat." The subordinate supporting Shao Ku shouted, picked up Shao Ku, and fled here, and the others also fled like a monkey falling from a tree. Can this be considered a hunting group? Cut. It's really arrogant. Seeing that all the members of the wandering hunting group had disappeared, Galady suppressed his anger. "Let's cover Marty, let him recover, and then make plans." Jason supported Marty, let him sit cross-legged, and said to the Owen brothers and sisters, "Okay." Brother and sister Owen replied in unison. After an unknown amount of time, Shao Ku slowly opened his eyes. "Where's this place?" Shao Ku opened his eyes and looked at the unfamiliar environment and asked, "Captain, you finally woke up? You were defeated just now and passed out." It was I who carried you and escaped here." Seeing that Xiao Ku finally woke up, a man next to Xiao Ku came over immediately and helped Xiao Ku up. "Guzi, where are the others?" Xiao Ku looked around and found Guzi alone, and all his other subordinates were gone. "Leader, the man called Guzi said in a dejected manner, hesitating to speak. "What's wrong with them?" Xiao Ku sensed an ominous premonition on Guzi's face. "They all chose to go to the village, and they all said that following you has no future." Guzi turned his head to the side and said to Xiao Ku with some embarrassment, "What? Damn it, these guys who violated their oaths. They will be punished one day." Xiao Ku said through gritted teeth. Xiao Ku really didn't expect that when he left the village, all the fellows who swore blood with him and swore to follow him to the death thought he had been defeated once, and they all left him. "Guzi, it seems that only you are the best, and you value friendship. Don't worry, I will definitely bring you to be famous all over the world. Let those trash go. It's useless to want them anyway. It's better not to have them. Lighten up a little." Xiao Ku made a promise to Guzi with lofty ambitions. "Well, leader, why don't we go back to the village as soon as possible? I just realized that the outside world is not as simple as we imagined. If it weren't for those young people who didn't want to kill us just now, I'm afraid us." "Oh," Guzi said with a little frustration. "If you want to go back by yourself. I won't go back until I break out of the sky." After hearing Guzi's words, Xiao Ku immediately became serious and said to Guzi in a blunt tone, "Then, Captain, you take care of yourself." After Guzi finished speaking, he left quickly. "Two dogs. Son." Xiao Ku didn't expect Guzi to leave him just like that. He was the only one left in the bustling, wandering hunting group in a blink of an eye. Xiao Ku leaned his back against the big tree and felt a sudden end in his heart. Suddenly, he had a sense of loneliness and fear of this world. Under such circumstances, he also had the idea of returning to the village. No, I can't go back. I must make a name for myself. Let those guys who betrayed me regret leaving me today." Xiao Ku shook his head, suppressing his desire to go back to the village, and shouted loudly, "Poor guy, you are so weak, and you are still alone. You may not know when you will be dead." A hoarse voice came. "Who? Don't pretend to be a ghost. Come out," Xiao Ku said, looking around. "I think you have a talent for forging. The poison you made yourself is very good. Are you interested in worshipping me as a teacher? I can make you stronger." Fergie walked out of a dense forest and said to Xiao Ku with a smile on his face. The scene changed. It took about half an hour for Marty to recover, and because of the blessing of the rejuvenation pill, it was almost healed, but there was still a slight pain in the chest, and everything else was almost healed. This time a magic pill is really easy to use. Not only has my anger recovered, but the wound on my chest has also healed a lot. Marty stood up and patted the dust on his buttocks and said with a smile, "It's good that you're fine." Seeing that Marty seemed to be recovering quite well, Jason let go of his worries. Originally, Jason had already planned that if Marty's injury didn't improve, he felt that he would give up hunting the angry beast, but seeing that Marty's condition was pretty good, he dismissed this idea and decided to continue their hunting journey of, "It's getting late now, why don't we just rest here for the night? It's very dangerous to run around in the mountains at night." Cality said to Jason, "Well, it happens that there's an open space here, and the sight lines around are pretty good, so let's go here." After all, Jason and his party walked towards the bonfire that Xiao Ku and the others had lit before. They wanted to take advantage of this bonfire so that they would not have to start fire. "It's a pity. Such a big piece of meat is burnt," Marty said, looking at the pitch-black beef leg that had been tested on the campfire. "The top of this beef leg is poisonous. Even if it is not burnt, you can't eat it," Callerty said, reaching out to pick off the beef leg and throw it away. "Huh? Everyone back up." Galady suddenly felt a strong force approaching them with his sense of anger, and immediately pulled everyone back. As soon as Galadi finished speaking, a porcupine with a wolf's head and a pig's body covered with long thorns rushed out, biting the scorched beef leg. "Damn it! What the hell is this?" Jason was so taken aback that he almost sat on the ground with his legs limp. The pig ignored Jason and his party at all and ate the beef leg in big mouthfuls. This is a wolf-toothed porcupine. Jason carefully observed the characteristics of this pig, and based on the description in the Angry Beast Encyclopedia he had read before, he directly concluded that this pig was a ferocious wolf-toothed porcupine. Spike porcupine? That's it. Villian asked Jason. Hey, look at this porcupine. Although its body is the same as that of a porcupine, its head is like a wolf, and it has sharp teeth like a wolf. I read from the book that the wolf-toothed porcupine is so angry. Beasts have weird habits. When they see other animals, they will attack no matter whether the opponent is strong or weak, while other angry beasts will avoid it because of the spikes on its body, so they have almost no natural enemies. It belongs to a relatively tyrannical beast. Jason tried his best to recall the description of the wolf-toothed porcupine he saw on the Encyclopedia of Angry Beasts. Then why didn't it attack us? Villian asked Jason, holding her chin with a finger. I think it's because it's also been poisoned by the bewitching drug on that bull's leg, and now it's not aware of our existence at all. Galady guessed. Why are we hesitating? Take this opportunity to slaughter it and eat roast suckling pig. Marty picked up his axe excitedly and said angrily, Hen hung. The moment Marty released his anger, the wolf-toothed porcupine suddenly raised his head to look at Jason and his party. Damn it. It seems that it is at least a B-level angry beast with perceived anger. Marty must have just released his anger and awakened it from the drug. Galady immediately clenched the sword around his waist and said to everyone, Ow! The wolf-toothed porcupine glared at Jason and his party, roared, and a dazzling yellow-armed anger radiated from his body. Attention everyone! This wolf-toothed porcupine is not at the same level as the hyena king we met before. Only a mutant angry beast like this can be called a real angry beast. Jason said, Song, and pulled out his hunting lion. Ems, I must eat this pork meal. Marty said, licking his lips and swallowing. Ouch! The wolf-tusked porcupine made another piercing cry. Jason and his party couldn't bear it and covered their ears. The wolf-toothed porcupine took the opportunity and rushed towards Jason and his party at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, they were already in front of Jason and the others. Everyone be careful, Galade said, holding the sword in his hand and rushing towards the wolf-tusked porcupine. Ding, clang, boom, boom. After several rounds of fighting, Galadi did not take any advantage and distanced himself from the wolf-tusked porcupine. The wolf-toothed porcupine also obviously became a little angry, arched its body, and paved the ground vigorously with one front hoof. He stared fiercely at Galady, snorted hard, and let out 2 white puffs. At first glance, it looked like a pit bull with red eyes. What? Angry? Then come here, just let me move my fists and feet well, and see how much my perceived anger has increased. Galady stared at the wolf-toothed porcupine and said with a movement of his wrist, Let's go. Let's go help too. The 4 of us should not be a problem to encircle and suppress it. Jason said, carrying the lion hunter, and took a few steps forward to stand with Galactica. Ow! The wolf-tusked porcupine let out a pig howl, and the yellow anger on its body became stronger. Sighting on the location of Galady, he gathered his strength and rushed towards Galady. Gathering all his strength, he slammed into Galady. Galady also wanted to try the strength of the wolf-toothed porcupine and did not avoid it. Swinging his saber, he slashed at the wolf-toothed porcupine that rushed over. The wolf-toothed porcupine also lowered its head, raised its spikes, and hit Galady. Bang! The anger of both sides collided with each other and sent out strong fluctuations. Galady's strength was slightly weaker than that of the wolf-toothed porcupine, and he took several steps back to stabilize his center of gravity. The spiked porcupine didn't neglect either, and took advantage of the victory to pursue. He rushed towards Galady once again. Little Thorn, eat your grandfather with an axe. Marty rushed out suddenly to stop the attack of the wolf-toothed porcupine and slashed at it with an axe. The wolf-toothed porcupine had to stop, swung his head, and hit Marty's axe with the spikes on his back. Marty's anger level and anger thickness are very different from those of a wolf-toothed porcupine. Maddie was ejected the moment he touched the wolf-toothed porcupine. Jason rushed over to catch Marty immediately and put him safely on the ground. The moment he caught Marty, Jason was almost knocked down by the powerful impact, and he couldn't help but feel shocked. Good guy. Such a strong force. If this falls to the ground like this, the consequences will be disastrous. Jason exclaimed with lingering fear. It's not so exaggerated, young master. You are a bit too imposing to others and destroy your own morale. Marty curled his lips when he heard Jason's words and said disapprovingly, You boy, can you talk away now? If I knew this, I wouldn't have saved you just now. Jason said, punching Marty in the chest. Young master, be careful. Jason and Marty looked up at Galati's cry. It was discovered that the wolf-toothed porcupine rolled itself into a ball. Like a meatball full of spikes, it rolled towards Jason and Marty with yellow anger and an aura that seemed to be able to smash everything. Galati rushed towards the wolf-toothed porcupine-turned meatball with all his strength, trying to block it and buy time for Jason and Marty. Clang! There was a crisp sound. Galati poured armed anger into his saber and laid it across in front of him, gritting his teeth to block the meatball that the wolf-toothed porcupine turned into and continued to move forward. Although the meatball that the wolf-toothed porcupine turned into stopped moving forward, it didn't stop, and it was still spinning at high speed like a huge sawtooth. The spikes on the rotating wolf-toothed porcupine collided and rubbed against the saber in Galati's hands, causing sparks to spark. Karati's anger also gradually revealed its disadvantages, and the situation became very urgent. At this time, if Galati suddenly couldn't hold on, he would have no way to avoid the wolf-toothed porcupine like a big gear at such a close distance, and he would be torn to pieces in an instant. Let me help you. Without hesitation, Marty rushed towards the wolf-toothed porcupine with his axe in hand. Come to Galati's side, stand side by side with him, and slash at the spinning wolf-fang porcupine with an axe. Boom! There was a crisp sound. The moment Marty's axe touched the spinning wolf-toothed porcupine, Marty was bounced away because of the large gap in anger. Hey, Jason originally wanted to catch Marty, who was ejected, but suddenly remembered what Marty said just now, so he didn't act. Oops! This time, Marty fell heavily to the ground and rubbed closely with the ground. He screamed out in pain. How does it feel? Jason came to Marty's side and asked Marty in a whizzing way. It's okay, it's okay. Marty scratched his head and got up from the ground by himself. Stop chatting. We have to find a way to save my brother. Villian, who was anxious at the side, saw that Jason and Marty were still joking, so she scolded them both impatiently. Hearing Villian's words, Jason and Marty immediately became serious. We have to find a way to make the wolf-tusked porcupine stop first. If this continues, Galati will soon be unable to hold on. Jason frowned and said as he watched Galati struggling. At this time, Galati's anger has been obviously suppressed by the wolf-toothed porcupine, and the situation is imminent. What should we do? Looking at the situation, Wei Lian had tears rolling in her eyes. Jason also felt distress for a while, and Jason also hurriedly thought of a way to save Galati. What else can I do? Fight this pig. Where is the young master's medicine that can enhance combat effectiveness? Marty suddenly remembered the medicine he had bought from Fergie before. Jason knew that Marty was talking about the anger pill that could increase his strength in a short time. But the anger pill's backlash was too strong, and Jason was hesitant to give it to Marty. Young master, why are you still standing there? Give it to me quickly. What if Karati suddenly can't bear it anymore? Her skin is so tender. Seeing Jason standing still for a long time, Marty shouted anxiously to Jason. Jason glanced at Galati again and found that the glow of anger on his body was almost gone. He was about to be unable to hold it anymore, and his mood became even more urgent. But after Jason thought about it carefully, even if Marty used the anger pill, he might not be a match for the wolf-tusked porcupine. Jason thought for a while and suddenly had an idea and thought a way to deal with the wolf-toothed porcupine. I thought of a way to deal with this wolf-toothed porcupine. Jason suppressed his excitement and said, "What can I do? My young master, tell me quickly. Don't get inked. Galady won't be able to hold it any longer." Marty could see that his eyebrows were on fire now, but Jason was still taking his time, jumping up and down anxiously. "Don't worry, just watch mine," Jason said, taking out a bottle of paralysis powder bought from Fergie, and then took out the flowering needle from his sleeve. "Oh, I forgot about this thing, hee. Just let us see the power of this flowering needle," Marty also said with some expectation. "I want to spice it up." As Jason said, he opened the bottle of paralysis powder, put the flowering needle in it, and stirred it several times before taking it out. "It's a pity that this injection goes on. If we defeat it, we don't want to eat pork anymore." Jason stared at the wolf-toothed porcupine that was still spinning and said, "If you don't eat it, young master, don't hesitate." Villian anxiously told Jason that he had already noticed that Galady's arms had started to tremble, and that he was about to be unable to withstand a strong impact of the wolf-toothed porcupine. "Okay, let's bloom. Flower lily needles." Jason implanted some anger into the poisoned flowering needle, aimed at the wolf-tusked porcupine, and threw it hard, tried to throw it at the wolf-tusked porcupine. The flowering needle was relatively small in size. Coupled with the blessing of Jason's anger, like a faint golden light, it flew towards the wolf-toothed porcupine in an instant. When the flowering needle came to the side of the wolf-toothed porcupine, it was bent and could not resist the anger emitted by the wolf-toothed porcupine, and moistened things silently through the anger emitted by the wolf-toothed porcupine. Slight bayou, with a sound, the flowering needle sank into the body of the wolf-toothed porcupine. When something is touched, the flowering needle is activated instantly. The wolf-toothed porcupine first stopped and continued to spin. Seeing that the wolf-toothed porcupine stopped by itself, Galady felt no pressure for a moment and immediately took a deep leap to distance himself from the wolf-toothed porcupine and came to Jason and the others. "Brother, are you okay?" Villian immediately came to Colradi and asked Colradi with concern. "Don't worry. It's nothing serious. I didn't expect that since the impact of this wolf-toothed porcupine is so strong, it seems that I am still too weak." Galady looked down at his numb hands and said dejectedly. Marty came to Colradi's side, patted Colradi's shoulder gently, and comforted him. "Okay, you're already very powerful. Isn't it much better than me being bounced away when I go up?" "Ow!" The wolf-toothed porcupine that got caught suddenly roared at Jason and the others, staring at them. The flowering needle should have worked. Otherwise, why would it stop? Could it be that it doesn't work on this pig? I got poisonous paint on it. Jason stared nervously at the wolf-toothed porcupine and said, "If this can't solve the wolf-toothed porcupine, then Jason really has nothing to do." Galadamati and others also immediately grasped their respective weapons again, ready to continue fighting against the wolf-tusked porcupine at any time. I saw that the paralysis powder on the flowering needle in the wolf-toothed porcupine seemed to work. The wolf-tusked porcupine seemed to be drunk, and it was a little unsteady. Why doesn't it work? This pig has turned into a soft-footed shrimp. Let me get rid of it." Marty, who had been deflated twice, wanted to vent his anger. How could he waste this good opportunity and rush to the wolf-toothed porcupine with an axe in hand? The wolf-toothed porcupine glared at Marty in a daze. Even though it was not in good condition, it was still full of desire to fight. It released its yellow anger again and rushed towards Marty, swaying from side to side. "You stinky pig, give me back your cock, right? I'll let you get your cock," Marty said, raising the one-handed axe in his hand, injecting anger and slashing at the wolf-tusked porcupine's back. It was hit by a flowering needle with paralysis powder, and the flowering needles spread all over its body. The internal organs of the wolf-toothed porcupine have already been injured to varying degrees. Even if it can still release its anger, it doesn't have the vigor just now, and it is more than a little weaker. Marty's axe went down, and although it didn't disembowel it, it chopped it down heavily to the ground. But the eccentric wolf-toothed porcupine didn't show any sign of backing down. It got up from the ground again and with its last breath, it leaped high and high, opened its mouth, and bit Marty's neck. Marty was surprised to see that the wolf-toothed porcupine was so tough, but he didn't stop. He clenched the axe in his hand, injected all his anger, and aimed at the wolf-toothed porcupine's abdomen, which was not protected by spikes, and struck down with the axe. I saw Marty's sharp axe directly cut through the stomach of the wolf-toothed porcupine, and hot blood sprayed out instantly, making Marty's face all over. Due to the large wound, the internal organs of the wolf-toothed porcupine flowed out along the wound. Seeing this scene, Wileen hurriedly closed her eyes and turned her head away, unable to bear to look directly. Jason's heart trembled when he saw the bloody scene, and he wanted to turn his head away. But when he thinks that he wants to be famous all over the world in the future, this kind of scene must be indispensable, and it may not be a raging beast by then. Maybe it will be a living person. He just stared at this bloody scene, trying to get used to it. The wolf-toothed porcupine was lying in a pool of blood, pulling out. It had lost the ability to move and could only silently wait for death. Seeing that the wolf-toothed porcupine had lost its fighting power, Marty wiped the blood from his face with his hand and aimed his axe at the wolf-toothed porcupine again. "I'm sorry. Please bring your angry crystal." As Marty said, he raised his hand and was about to make up the knife to the wolf-toothed porcupine lying on the ground twitching. But the porcupine's eyes suddenly changed, as if there were still some tricks he wanted to use. This detail happened to be noticed by Jason, and Jason's heart tightened, and he immediately rushed towards Marty. "Marty, be careful!" Jason shouted and swooped Marty to the ground. The moment they fell to the ground, several of the spikes on the wolf-tusked porcupine shook loosely and flew out like bullets. Gah! Not long after those spikes flew out, there was the cry of a crow. Bang! A crow fell from the sky with a sound. A spike of a wolf-toothed porcupine pierced its body, killing it instantly. Marty and Jason, who were lying on the ground, couldn't help but feel chills when they saw this. If they were shot by this just now, the consequences... "Young master, Marty, are you all right?" Gallaty ran over nervously and asked. "It's okay, no problem." Jason looked at the crow whose body was pierced on the ground and said with lingering fear, "Write more about the young master's rescue. This crow flying in the air has been pierced through its body. I was so close just now. If I get hit by this trick, I'm afraid that if I don't die, I will be disabled." Marty also thanked Jason with some trepidation. "Okay, it's all as it should be. I think if you were replaced by me, I would rush over and take mine without hesitation." Jason patted Marty to let him not take it too seriously. "Come on, let's receive our spoils." As Jason said, he raised his palm to stimulate his anger, to guide the anger crystals in the spiked porcupine's body to come out. Waves of yellow light flowed out of the wolf-toothed porcupine's body and converged above his head. In the blink of an eye, a yellow B-grade angry crystal was formed and suspended somewhere. Jason held the rage crystal in his hand and suddenly saw the spikes on the wolf-toothed porcupine's back. Then he looked at the crow on the ground that had been pierced by the porcupine's spikes. An idea suddenly came to my mind. "Come on, help me pull out the spines of this porcupine." Jason said to Gallaty and Marty, "This guy was hit by the poisonous flowering needle you touched, so I'm afraid he can't eat it." Marty reminded Jason, "Of course I know this. I didn't ask you to pull this out to eat." As Jason said, he pulled a spike from the porcupine's body with great effort and lightly poked his finger, and blood flowed out immediately. "This thing is so sharp. No wonder it is so powerful that even crows flying in the air can be pierced by it." Galactic looked at the wound on Jason's hand and exclaimed, "Now you know what I'm going to do." Jason said with a smile, "Young master, do you want to eat birds with this?" Marty leaned in front of Jason and asked. Everyone was ashamed by the sudden brain circuit brought by the horse. Jason came to Marty's side, put his arms around Marty's shoulders, and said to him, "Marty, you really have to be lucky that you met me, and then you can follow me. Otherwise, I think with your IQ, you can't be a robber. It's more than that. With this IQ, it's not easy to do anything." Gallaty also laughed at Matty. Are you literati going to start playing word games in front of me? A big bastard? I don't understand. Marty said with an irritable face, wanting to end this topic quickly. Although he didn't understand very well, Marty also knew that they were hurting himself, so he simply stopped letting them talk. Seeing Marty's appearance, everyone stopped joking about Marty. If I'm not mistaken, the young master collected these porcupine spikes to make weapons, right? Galactica expressed Jason's new true thoughts in one word. Yeah, these spikes are so sharp and hard enough. I want to modify them a little bit. They're quite suitable for use as hidden weapons. Jason nodded and admitted. Hidden weapon? What is that? Villian asked Jason with a harmless expression on her face. The so-called hidden weapon, as the name suggests, is a hidden weapon used secretly. It can defeat the opponent without knowing it. Jason explained to Villian. That's plotting despicable means? Wylian thought for a while and said, although you are right, you don't have to be so straightforward. Seeing that Jason didn't speak, Galady thought that Jason was angry when he heard Villian's words, so he took over what Villian said. That's right, Villian is right. Hidden weapons are indeed a relatively despicable weapon, but in this world where the jungle preys on the weak, if you're not despicable to others, they may be despicable to you. In some critical moments, despicableness is also a kind of weapon. Excellent life-saving means, isn't it? Jason smiled and said to Wylian and the others, what the young master said is indeed reasonable. We don't know how many unknown dangers we have to face. One more means of life-saving means more safety. Galady also echoed Jason. While talking, everyone pulled out the spikes on the porcupine, and it didn't take long for the porcupine to be bald. I'm so hungry. I really want to roast it and eat it. Marty licked his lips and swallowed. These legs should still be edible, right? The flowering needle just pierced his chest. These pig legs should be fine. Jason was also a little hungry, but the sky had already darkened, and it would be too unwise to go hunting at night. Then why are you still standing there? Cut them all off. As Marty spoke, he raised the axe in his hand and chopped at the porcupine's thigh. At this moment, a black figure suddenly appeared from the bushes next to it, quickly passed by, biting the porcupine that had been cleaned, and wanted to leave. Jason and the others immediately distanced themselves from the shadow, and only Marty grabbed the porcupine's leg tightly. No one can take away the meat that I have reached my mouth. Marty held the porcupine's leg firmly, and was in a stalemate with the shadow. Jason and the others settled down to take a closer look. The black shadow turned out to be a 3 to 4 meter long boa constrictor with a head like a cow. Jason took a closer look at the python's tail, which was like a chicken. This is cocktail, Jason said to the crowd. Marty let go, called Marty loudly. No one wants to snatch the meat I got. Don't say it's a snake. It won't work even if the king of heaven comes. As Marty spoke, he poured anger into the axe in his hand and slashed at the bullhead cocktail with one axe. Clang! Marty's axe slashed at the bull-headed cocktail. Since the bullhead cocktail hadn't released its anger to protect its body, although it wasn't cut by Marty's axe, it still suffered a burst of pain. Immediately let go of the porcupine's mouth, quickly ran into the grass, kept moving at a high speed, and did not leave. It should be that the porcupine has not stopped thinking about which porcupine. It must be starving, and some are hungry. Up. I read from the book that this bull-headed cocktail has no means of attack except for the horns on its head. We shouldn't have a problem taking it down, but we don't know what level it is. Jason said a little excitedly, this is all about giving experience. The bull-headed cocktail quickly moved around Jason and the others, staring intently at the porcupine pork in Marty's hand. Marty, you have to be careful. Its target is in your place. Galady reminded Maddie. Marty also realized that the snake's target was the meat in his hand, and subconsciously hid the porcupine meat behind him. Anyway, it's not that powerful. You don't have to worry about me. I will swear to protect our dinner. Don't worry, Marty assured Jason and the others while protecting the porcupine pork. Ow! Just as Mati and the others were talking, the bull-headed cocktail suddenly roared and released red anger all over its body. Class A. Jason and others were stunned when they saw the bull-headed cocktail snake. They all said in unison, and everyone opened their mouths in shock. Such a weak, angry beast has an A level. Didn't we find a treasure? Jason couldn't restrain the excitement in his heart and said, "Not necessarily. How to say is also a level. There will still be some troubles. We'd better be careful," Karate said while looking at the bull-headed cocktail snake, whose whole body was glowing red and tirelessly circling around Jason and the others. TCH, he's already A level, and he's still trying to steal food from us. He must be a loser, otherwise he wouldn't be in this situation, Marty said casually to Jason and the others. Just as Marty was speaking, the bull-headed cocktail saw the timing of Marty's carelessness and rushed towards Marty like a gust of wind. "Hey, be careful." Before Jason finished speaking, Marty was knocked over by the horns of the bullhead cocktail. Although Marty was protected by anger, the difference in anger levels was too great after all. Coupled with the injury to Marty's chest just now, this collision directly broke Marty's sternum. Galactica rushed out to catch Marty. But Marty, who was knocked into the air, was like a cannonball, directly knocking Galati to the ground. Ahem! Marty fell on Cality and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Ow! The bull-headed cocktail roared angrily, as if shouting. Good guy. As expected of an A-level fury beast, it's so powerful. It seems that I really underestimated this kind of fury beast with weak attack power. Cocktail saw that Marty and Galati had both fallen to the ground, roared angrily, and rushed towards the two of them, wanting to take advantage of the victory and pursue them. Like the bull-headed cocktail, it is not poisonous and does not know other attack methods. It can only rely on its speed and horns, and this straightforward attack method is the easiest to dodge, so it has to take advantage of the horse's attention. They floundered and continued to attack them. This Jason is not stupid. He guessed what it was thinking. At the moment when the bull-headed snake was about to rush over, he immediately walked in 2 steps in 3 steps and came to the tail of the bull-headed snake. With this tail, the speed of the Minotaur can reach so fast. Jason was very clever and wanted to cut off the snake's tail first. Jason hadn't had time to swing the hunting lion in his hand. But unexpectedly, the bullhead snake's tail suddenly raised, and in an instant it entangled Jason tightly in the opposite direction. Hista! The bull-headed cocktail vomited and stared at Jason, giving Jason a sense of oppression. MD, this is not good, Jason said as he silently pulled out the only remaining flowering needle from his sleeve. Just when the bullhead cocktail was about to hit Jason with its horns. Wei Lian released her anger, rushed over quickly, squatted slightly, gathered enough strength, jumped high, and kicked the bull's head cocktail's head in the air and grabbed the horn of the bull's head cocktail. I want to pull its head aside. But with Villian's strength, she couldn't move the cocktail at all, and Villian just hung on the cocktail's head like this. Wei Lian also immediately changed her strategy, drew out her dagger, and stabbed the bull-headed cocktail in the eye. The bull-headed cocktail snake didn't sit still and waited for death, and immediately shook its head and threw Wei Lian down. Villian, Galati rushed up immediately and didn't bother to pick up Villian anymore. After all, Jason is the most dangerous now. What? Galati slashed at the head of the bull cocktail with all his might. The bull-headed cocktail also lowered its head to use its horns to resist Galati's attack. Clang! Galati's sword collided with the bull's head cocktail horn, and the yellow anger and the red anger collided with each other, which looked extremely dazzling. Glady, hold on. I'll help you. Marty took a run up for a certain distance, leap high, grabbed the horn of the ox-headed cocktail from behind, and used his own huge body weight to pull it down forcefully. The bullhead cocktail obviously couldn't hold on to their stocking. He shook his head vigorously, forcing Galati to retreat, throwing Marty away, and wanting to leave when he let go of Jason. Freed, Jason immediately reacted, clenched the lion hunting sword in his hands, aimed at the tail of the bullhead cocktail, and thrust it heavily when it passed in front of him. Originally, the tail of the bull cocktail was the weakest point, and Jason's hunting lion was extremely sharp and blessed with anger, directly penetrated the tail of the bull cocktail and nailed it to the ground. Ow! The bullhead cocktail that had been hit in its weak spot was struggling in pain, swinging frantically from side to side. Let you be greedy, and the greed is in the hands of the grandpas. This is the end. Marty raised the axe in his hand to hit the bullhead cocktail's head with one blow. The bullhead cocktail was also very unconvinced and opened its mouth wide to bite Marty, but the speed was obviously much slower. Marty, on the other hand, was not in a hurry. He saw the right moment and thrust his axe vertically into the mouth of the bull-headed cocktail snake, making it unable to close its mouth. "Hey, how dare you bite me? Watch me pull out all your teeth," Marty said, putting half of his body into the mouth of the bullhead cocktail and began to pull out its teeth one by one. "Marty, you are really enough? It's almost done." Seeing that Marty was like a child, Jason shook his head helplessly and said, "No, I can't let it go so easily. Anyone who takes my food will be killed." Marty said seriously, "Be careful, don't let it bite you. Although it is not poisonous, it is very powerful after one bite." Galady said to Marty. Everyone saw that Marty was so interested, so they didn't want to say anything else. They let Marty torment the bull-headed cocktail, and they went to roast the pork leg. By the way, they studied how to kill the bullhead with only an A-level anger body. Cocktail. The bull-headed cocktail is also very smart. Knowing that he can't escape, he keeps showing his anger, so that Jason and others have nothing to do with it, and there is nowhere to attack it. Not long after, the pork leg roasted by Jason and the others gradually became cooked, and the aroma filled the air. Marty, who pulled out the teeth of the cocktail snake one by one, also smelled the scent and ran over immediately, where he put the cocktail snake, holding an axe in his mouth, where was the poor man, watching Jason and the others gulp eating meat. After struggling for a long time, the bullhead cocktail didn't have any strength anymore, so it could only lie there in a state of embarrassment, drooling at the smell. "Ha! So satisfying." Hiccup. Marty, who almost ate a pork leg by himself, burped his stomach, not to mention how comfortable he was. Didn't you still be the grandfather of this porcupine just now? Now you almost burst your belly with your grandson's meat. Don't you feel guilty? Jason looked at Marty, who was half lying on the ground, and joked. "And your other grandson is starving over there too." Karate followed Jason's words and continued. "You two are really boring. Didn't I just say that casually?" Maddie said a little speechlessly. While Jason and the others were talking and laughing, Villian glanced at the ox-headed cocktail lying next to him, seeing its pitiful appearance, and feeling unbearable for a while. "Why don't we let it go? It looks so pathetic and it didn't hurt us." Villian begged on behalf of the bull-headed cocktail. "Is that bad?" Marty turned his head to look at Jason and Galati and said, "What's wrong? Did it bother us? It was just hungry and wanted to eat. Should we just kill it like this?" "How cruel," Willian said to everyone. "Hey, Villian, if you want to live in this world of the jungle, it doesn't have many ways to save its life. Even if we let it go today, maybe someone will treat it more cruelly in the future. Why don't we use it to kill it? Strengthen our own strength so that we can better protect ourselves." Galadi earnestly persuaded Villian Road. "Yeah, if you think about it carefully, we are actually very weak, and they're just one Sagosli, and we don't know how many people want our lives. How can we give up this good opportunity to become stronger?" Jason also fooled Wei Lian seriously. But Villian didn't know what to say, but Manchester United looked at the bullhead cocktail lying on the ground sympathetically, its anger exhausted. "I understand how you feel. I'll end it now, so that it won't suffer anymore." Jason knew that the more Villian watched, the more unbearable Villian would be. Jason pulled out the saber at Galati's waist and walked towards the bull cocktail. Garrity quickly turned Villian around so that Villian would not look at the scene of Jason slashing the bull cocktail. "I'm sorry. In order for me to survive on the Cardeas continent, I have no choice but to ask you to die." As Jason said, his heart turned violent, and he attached anger to the sword and stabbed the head of the bull-headed cocktail with the sword. The bull-headed cocktail, which was exhausted and had no protection from anger, was directly pierced through the head by a sword. The blood of the bullhead cocktail was sprayed directly everywhere. Jason's face also left a touch of red, stimulating Jason's senses. Jason has completely changed from the former Zhao Fei who didn't dare to kill a chicken to the Jason Ryan who is ruthless when he should be ruthless. The bullhead cocktail howled in pain and then lay on the ground forever. Jason raised one arm and began to direct the rage crystals of the bullhead out. As Jason aroused his anger bit by bit, streams of blood-like red light flowed from the bullock-tail's body to the outside, converging on the top of the bullock-tail's head. Slowly, a blood-red anger crystal formed. It's a rare A-level rage crystal after all. The feeling it exudes is different. Galady looked at the red, angry crystal floating in the air and said, "The angry crystal emitted a bright light, turning the surrounding area into a red." Jason slowly squeezed the anger crystal in his hand, playing with it excitedly. From now on, there will be another A-level Wrathmaster in the southern border. Jason said excitedly, "Do you want to choose to skip E-level and directly upgrade to A-level?" The voice of the system sounded in Jason's mind, and Jason was shocked when he heard it. He had been waiting for this moment for several months, and it was really a long time, and finally today, a dream that has been dreamed for a long time and finally come true. Yes, Jason said without hesitation that he can't wait to upgrade now. The upgrade success rate is 30%. 5. It takes a moment to consume A-level anger crystals. Are you sure you want to upgrade? The system confirmed to Jason again. What the hell? Is the chance of success so low? What? Jason asked. The success rate of less than -% is really like a sudden splash of cold water, which makes Jason feel a burst of coolness. The higher the level you want to upgrade, the lower the chance of success. And the longer it takes, you can't be disturbed halfway, or you will fail to upgrade, and you may enter the illusion scene halfway. If your will is not, if you are determined and shaken, it will also cause the upgrade to fail. The system said to Jason without a trace of emotion. Jason hesitated after thinking. After all, A-level Fury crystals are not easy to get. If it doesn't succeed, it'll be wasted like this. It's not worth it. Hey, who did the heavens really let go? If the success rate is low, it will be low. Give it a try and change the bicycle into a motorcycle, no matter what. Upgrade. Jason weighed the pros and cons and finally decided to upgrade. I'm going to upgrade, so please work hard and protect me. Jason turned to Karate and the others. Young master, don't worry. We will go all out and let nothing disturb your upgrade. Galactico answered Jason without hesitation. Me too. Marty also spoke. Marty, I know your loyalty. Next time you don't know what to say, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to force yourself to say something. Jason patted Marty on the shoulder and said to him. After explaining to Galati and the others, Jason found a flat place and sat down cross-legged. Let's upgrade. I'm ready. Jason closed his eyes and adjusted his state to the best, preparing for a protracted battle. The upgrade is starting. Please enter the state of meditation and don't have any distracting thoughts. Jason listened to the system's words, obediently obeyed, and seriously emptied his head. The A-grade angry crystal in Jason's hand slowly floated up and hovered above Jason's head. The rage crystal slowly rotated and drew out traces of red light that circled around Jason for a few times before entering Jason's body. It looked really dazzling from a distance. Looking at how slowly that ability enters the young master's body, I'm afraid it will take a long time before all of it enters the young master's body. During this time, we must cheer up. Seeing Jason's progress and upgrading so slowly, Galady said to Marty and Villian beside him, "Don't worry, nothing will happen. Besides, what can happen in the middle of the night?" Marty lay leisurely on a stone, with his head in his hands and his legs crossed, and he said to Galady, "Because it's nighttime, we need to be more vigilant. Don't forget that we are now in the wild full of angry beasts, which is more dangerous than during the daytime." Galati pulled Marty up and said, "Okay, I know." Marty patted his ass, cheered up, and looked around cautiously. Galade, Marty, and Villian stood in a triangle formation, protecting Jason in the center, quietly waiting for the power of the A-grade angry crystal to flow into Jason's body. Jason has also entered the ethereal state at this time. He only feels his body is warm, and a wave of warm power enters his body, just like bathing in a hot spring. Just when Jason felt comfortable for a while, the surroundings suddenly changed, and the warm feeling suddenly disappeared. What's the situation? Am I about to fail? Jason murmured to himself. Zhao Fei. Suddenly, a female voice that Jason was very familiar with entered Jason's ears. Is this an illusion? Jason said, but slowly opened his eyes. When he opened them, Jason felt dizzy for an instant. He found that he had returned to his original home. And standing in front of him was his wife. No, it should be his ex-wife, Dong Yishuan. What's going on here? I am back again. Jason looked around suspiciously. Everything seemed so real. Zhao Fei, I'm sorry I was wrong. Come back. Shall we start over? Dong Yishuan begged Zhao Fei Dao with a sad face. Start over? What are you going to start over with me? Jason now looks at Dong Yishuan's cute and pitiful look, which used to make him feel very distressed, but now there is no turmoil in his heart, and he will feel that she is disgusting. You hurt me like that, and I will forgive you easily? I'm not being taken advantage of. Jason said to Dong Yishuan in a cold tone. I also have my own reasons, and I don't want to hurt you, but I can't help it. Dong Yishuan came over and grabbed Jason's arm and said in mourning, Please keep your distance from me. You are now the wife of a wealthy young master. I, a common man, cannot afford to offend you. Jason pushed Dong Yishuan away hard. Although Jason still had some feelings for Dong Yishuan, he had been hurt like that. Even if he loved her again, he would never forgive her. I'm sorry, well, I'm sorry. Dong Yishuan knelt down on the ground the moment he was pushed away, begging Jason. Dong Yishuan knelt down and hit the ground with his knees, making a crisp, muffled sound. What Jason heard was that his heart tightened. He saw that Dong Yishuan's legs were wrapped in a thin layer of stockings. The kneeling just now must have hurt. Thinking of this, Jason felt distress for a while, and he couldn't bear it. After all, he was someone he loved deeply. Get up. Jason supported Dong Yishuan and helped her up. Although he was a little distressed, he still maintained a cold attitude on his face. There's no possibility between us. You'd better be your rich wife. A poor ghost like me is not worthy of you at all, is it? Jason held back his emotions and said calmly, Okay. At this moment, Jason suddenly remembered something. Aren't I upgrading? Why did I come back suddenly? What's going on? Jason felt confused. Do you want to go back? Come back. Let's start over, shall we? Dong Yishuan begged Jason. Stay here. Won't you go back? Jason muttered to himself, lost in thought. Little Lord. Young Master. Little Lord. Just when Jason wanted to stay, familiar voices suddenly sounded in his mind, all of which were the shouts of the loyal Galati and the others. No, I can't stay. I don't belong here anymore. What really belongs to me, what needs me, is that Cardeas continent. I want to go back. I want to go back. Jason opened his eyes suddenly. An ray of sunlight hit his face, making him unable to open his eyes. Jason covered the sun with his hands, frowning before barely opening his eyes. Young Master, you're awake. Seeing that Jason had woken up, Galati immediately ran over and said to Jason, and Marty and Villian quickly surrounded him. Where's this place? Jason looked at several familiar faces beside him and asked, This is the Zorn Mountain Range? Young Master, you don't have a fever. Your brain is burnt out, right? Marty said, reaching out and touching Jason's forehead. I'm back. It's good to be back. Jason looked at his surroundings and was relieved to be sure that he was still in the Cardeas continent. What are you talking about, young master? I can't understand a word. Marty heard Jason talking to himself and didn't know what he said, and asked Jason with a frown. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Jason waved his hands casually. By the way, young master, have you successfully upgraded? For the other messed up Galati, he is more concerned about this issue. I don't know about that either. Jason scratched his head and said to Galati, beginning to feel the anger inside him. As soon as Jason started to feel it, he felt as if his body had been opened up to run Du's second vein all of a sudden, and his senses became much sharper. It should be a success, right? Jason tried to release his anger on his hands as he spoke. As Jason mobilized his anger, streaks of faint red anger appeared on Jason's hand, and as the anger increased, the brightness also became stronger. Red, red? Young master, you succeeded. You succeeded. Galactica looked at the red anger covering Jason's hands and said excitedly, the tiredness from staying up all night was gone at this moment, leaving only excitement. I succeeded? Do I have grade A rage now? Jason looked at the red anger in his hand a little unresponsively and said, okay. Jason suddenly felt something moving within 10 meters to his left and immediately turned his head away. A butterfly is fluttering its wings. That's perceived anger, a brand new kind of anger that only B-level and above anger masters can sense. After releasing the anger, they can sense any disturbance around them. I didn't expect the range of the young master's perceived anger to be within 10 meters. It's far away, and I'm only 1 meter away. Seeing Jason's puzzled look, Galady explained to Jason, this sense of anger is really easy to use. If it is used with a hidden weapon, wouldn't it be? Thinking of this, Jason felt secretly happy. Congratulations, young master. Became his second A-level anger master in the southern region. Villian jumped up and down in front of Jason and said, a grade, nothing to be proud of. An old man's voice suddenly came from a distance. Okay. Jason still had a fresh memory of this voice, which was exactly the voice of the cat viper. Senior Cat Viper, why are you here? It just so happens that I don't have to look for you. Jason had already sensed the location of the cat viper and looked towards a towering tree with a smile. The cat viper jumped from the tree and landed lightly on the ground. You guys actually killed my bull-headed cocktail. Cat Viper stared at the body of the bullhead cocktail on the ground and said to Jason and the others in a displeased mood, this is what we met here. How did it become yours? Villian retorted, hey, Villian mustn't be rude. Galady pulled Villian and said, Senior, we encountered this snake here last night. It wanted to steal our meat, so we took the opportunity to kill it. How can it be your snake? Jason asked Mal Viper politely. Hey, I've lived here for more than 10 years. I know exactly where there are any level of angry beasts, where there are new cubs, and where there are trees. There is an A-level beast. How could I not know about bullhead cocktails? Cat Viper asked Jason with his hands behind his back. This bullheaded cocktail is the least aggressive beast among the angry beasts. A-level bullheaded cocktails are like pies from heaven to those hunting beasts. I originally kept it in captivity to protect it. Yes, who knew I drank too much last night and forgot to feed it, so it broke open the cage and ran out. Cat Viper told Jason with reason. Please forgive me, Senior. We really didn't know it. We thought it was wild, so we killed it. Those who don't know are innocent. Please forgive me, Senior. Jason immediately apologized to Cat Viper. Haha, what a person who doesn't know is innocent. You kid is really slippery. You have a good idea. Cat Viper's expression suddenly changed, and he scolded Jason. You old man, be more polite to me. Our young master talks to you so respectfully because he thinks highly of you. Don't give it to me. Hey, don't talk nonsense, Marty. Jason immediately interrupted Marty's words. Based on his understanding of Marty, he knew that Marty was going to say some foul words next. Jason still wants to ask him to be his teacher. If Marty offends him, it's fine. This matter is really our fault. We are willing to be punished by our seniors. Please forgive me. Jason thought that he was also the son of the king of the south, so this cat Viper shouldn't dare to go too far towards them. Okay, that's what you said. Don't you regret it then? Mal Viper's expression changed, and he said to Jason with a wicked smile, Goo, what do you want, Senior? Jason looked at the expression of the cat Viper and couldn't help but panic, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and said nervously to the cat Viper, It's not too bad, but the pigs I raised recently gave birth to a litter, and the pigsty is a bit crowded. I want you to help me expand my pigsty. I won't pursue the matter of the bullhead cocktail. How about it? Cat Viper said to Jason with a smile behind his back. What? Our young master is the only son of the majestic king of the southern region and the deputy city lord of Sagos. You actually asked our young master to help you build a pigsty? Marty finally couldn't suppress the anger in his heart, broke out, and yelled at the cat viper. Cut, so what? In my opinion, the status is not as good as the piglets of my sow. Cat Viper said to Marty with a look of disgust. After listening to Cat Viper's words, Jason also felt angry. Although he didn't care that Cat Viper humiliated himself, it was obvious that Cat Viper meant to humiliate his father, Don Ryan. Although Jason came halfway, he still respected his father in his heart. Hearing that Mal Viper compared a sow with his father, he was naturally upset and clenched his fists secretly. You bastard. It's too much. What are you talking about, Galady? What can't be tolerated? Marty was at a loss for words for a while, so he suddenly asked Galady, who was next to him, is it tolerable or unbearable? Galady replied to Maddie, yes, you are really intolerable. You'll have to give me a blow before you tell me. Marty said, holding the axe and releasing his anger. He rushed towards the cat viper. It's too much, Cat Viper said as he took out a bamboo pole, still holding his hands behind his back, motionless. The moment Marty entered his attack range, the bamboo pole in the hands of the cat viper was like a spirit snake, and the one danced by the cat viper was flying up and down. In the blink of an eye, Marty's wrists, ankles, and other joints all over his body were hit by the bamboo pole in the hands of the cat viper, and there was a burst of numbness, and Marty fell to the ground in response. It's so fast, and it can hit the target with such precision. This old man is really not easy. Jason was thinking about it, and he couldn't help ma tee up quickly. You'd better not try to challenge me. That will only make you suffer. Cat Viper danced the bamboo pole in his hand and said to Jason and the others, it's not impossible for us to help our seniors build a pigsty. Jason thought for a while and said to Cat Viper, young master, how can you do such a thing? Galactic immediately interrupted Jason's words. But senior, do you still remember what you promised me before? Jason changed the subject, smiled, and said to Cat Viper, am I the kind of rambunctious person? Of course I remember. You just need to remember, I have now reached the A level from the C General. Are you going to keep your promise and accept me as an apprentice? Jason said, releasing red TCH, if I remember correctly, what we said before is that I will accept you as a disciple if you upgrade to B level. With a smile on his face, Cat Viper asked Jason, that's right, I've been promoted to A level now. Senior should fulfill his promise, right? Jason looked at the smile on Mal Viper's face, feeling a little confused. He frowned and asked Mal Viper, I'm talking about B level. You are now A level, which is not a level at all. Why should I fulfill my promise? Cat Viper played word games with Jason. You, young master, I don't think you have to worship him as your teacher. No matter what you say now, you're still a person with A-level anger. Even if you leave your background behind, you should be a leader no matter where you go. Why waste time with this old man? Villian persuaded Jason. Outstanding? Ha ha ha. Cat Viper couldn't help laughing up to the sky after hearing Walian's words. You old man is so boring, what's so funny? Walian turned her head and stared at the Cat Viper with dissatisfaction and said, it's just an A-level. In the previous generation, there was nothing to be proud of. Now they could be called outstanding. Cat Viper said to Walian with a look of disdain, TCH, you said that people of your generation are so powerful. Why are you at the C-level? If you are really that powerful, have you been slowed down before long? Walian made a mocking grimace and said to the Cat Viper, revealing her eccentric personality, but it is not offensive, but rather cute. The level of anger can't explain everything. As long as you work hard enough the day after tomorrow, you can still be very strong. Cat Viper folded his hands behind his back and looked up at the sky. His long white beard fluttered in the wind, giving people the feeling of being an out-of-this-world expert. That's why I want to worship Senior as my teacher. I just want to be as strong as Senior. Jason said to Cat Viper, okay, it's getting late. You'd better hurry up and work for me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being cruel if you don't have food to eat. After speaking, The cat viper took the lead and walked toward the small wooded canyon not far away. "Sir, shall we go?" Galady asked Jason. "Of course we are going. How can we not go?" As Jason said, he followed the cat viper directly. He had a hunch that this cat viper would teach him a lot. Everyone went round and round all the way to a forest hut. The huts are all made of wood. Although they are small, they look very delicate. The lioness who was with the cat viper last time is lying lazily at the door, taking a nap, and a rocking chair made of bamboo next to it is slowly shaking under the wind. A thick layer of yellow leaves fell on the ground around the hut. The yellow leaves on the ground and the color of the wooden house complement each other, giving people an indescribable sense of comfort. "What a beautiful house!" As Wei Lian spoke, she ran directly in front of everyone and took a closer look at Cat Viper's wooden house. "Of course, you don't want to see who lives here." Cat Viper put his hands behind his back with a proud face, came to the lioness, stroked the lion's head with his hand, and said to Wei Lian, "Where's your pigsty, senior?" Jason was only thinking about completing the mission of the cat viper and then asking him to take him as an apprentice, so he asked anxiously. "Follow me," Cat Viper said, and led Jason and his party to the back of the hut. When they came here, a pigsty cut out of large pieces of bluestone appeared in front of Jason and his party. There was a sow in the pen with more than a dozen piglets sucking milk. You see, these little piglets grow very fast. When they grow up, this pen will definitely not be able to hold them. So I need you to help me expand this pigsty by about 5 times. Cat Viper said to Jason and the others. "What the hell? Does it need to be so big? Pigs, it's fine if you can't squeeze it." Marty stood up and said to Cat Viper, "Can the pigs I raise look like ordinary people? I want them to have a good living environment so that the meat will taste good when they grow up. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand." Cat Viper gave Maddie a white look and then continued. "Aren't you the ones who want to stand on the top of the Cardeas continent? What? Can't even do this." Cat Viper looked at Jason and smiled and taunted Jason. "Whoever said we can't do it? What you said is just a small problem. Let's start working now." Jason said as soon as he took off his shirt and threw it aside. He began to prepare for work. "Wait a minute, don't worry. I haven't finished my words yet." Cat Viper saw that Jason was about to act, so he stopped him immediately. "My specific requirements haven't been stated yet, so why are you so anxious?" Cat Viper said leisurely to Jason with his hands behind his back. "NM, do you have any specific requirements for building a pigsty? You don't want to build an apartment, right?" Jason thought in his heart, even though he thought so, but Jason still had a smile on his face and asked Mal Viper, "If you have any requests, senior, just say it." "It's very simple. My request is that the material you build the pigsty for me must also be bluestone." Cat Viper pointed to his original pig pen and said, "Is that all? Haha, I thought it was some kind of request, so it's just this? No problem." After hearing the request of the Cat Viper, Marty agreed to the Cat Viper without thinking. "Good. I'm relieved to see that you are so cheerful. Haha, then you should not delay. Start to act. I will prepare a meal for you to enjoy. You have to hurry up, or the food will be cold." "Not good," Cat Viper said to Jason and his party with a look of success. "Senior, wait a minute. If I'm not wrong, there probably won't be any bluestones around this area, right? Aren't you embarrassing us?" Galactica suddenly stopped the Cat Viper who was about to leave and asked. Galactica was not idle all the way here. He kept observing the surroundings and knew that not to mention bluestones, even ordinary stones, not a few bucks. "What? There are no bluestones around? Old man, aren't you deliberately embarrassing us?" Marty, who was a little unhappy after hearing Galad's words, said angrily to Cat Viper, "Who said there are no bluestones here? Hey, look, the top of that mountain is full of bluestones." Cat Viper pointed to a mountain several miles away from them and said to Jason and the others, "It's so far away, and our demand is still so large, it may take a long time to go back and forth." Villian looked up at the mountain and said, "Hey, what's the matter? All of you are young and strong, and even I, a man with old bones, can go back and forth more than a dozen times to build my pigsty, let alone you. Definitely, it's just a matter of minutes. Cat Viper said to everyone with a smile. Okay, stop talking, let's do it. Let's start to act. Jason is already determined. He wants to take Mao Viper as his teacher. No matter how difficult he is, he will finish it. Jason was the first to set off, and Galati and the others couldn't say anything more, so they set off after Jason. One carried a bamboo basket on his back, used his anger to strengthen his feet, and ran towards the mountain quickly. With the blessing of anger, everyone was also very relaxed. They ran nearly 10 miles in less than minutes and came to the mountain. The mountain was also bare, basically covered with blue stones, and it didn't take long for everyone to fill up their bamboo baskets and start their return journey. With the blessing of anger, and the road was downhill all the way, even though Jason and his party were carrying heavy blue stones on their backs. They returned to the back of the Cat Viper's hut very easily. It looks like we have to run more than a dozen times. Jason looked at the pile of blue stones brought back by their group and felt that it was still a lot worse. He took a deep breath and carried the bamboo basket on his back again. How is it? Are you all okay? Jason came in front of everyone and asked. No problem. At this level, I can run more than 20 times without any problem. Marty said to Jason, patted his chest. Don't talk too much. The road is bumpy, and we have to climb mountains, and we don't have much time to rest. I have consumed % of my anger this trip. I'm afraid you won't be better than me. Go there. Galati poured cold water on Marty. Go, go, go. You'll say something frustrating. I'm fine. Marty said to Galati. In fact, Marty's anger is not as thick as Galati's. After this trip, he has consumed nearly % of his anger. I'm afraid he will die after another 3 or 5 laps. Jason also agrees with Galati's words. Although the shoulders were light when he went, he had to climb the mountain. Although he went downhill all the way back, he carried a huge blue stone on his shoulders. Even the thinnest villain, they all carried nearly 100 caddies of blue stone. They were able to maintain such a fast speed because of the blessing of anger. Once their anger was exhausted, it might be difficult to turn back. Walian, you should stay here this time. You will build the pigsty here. As for transporting the blue stone, leave it to the 3 of us. Otherwise, if you run out of anger on the way, you will be in trouble. Anyway, the work here also needs people to do it. Don't you think so? After thinking about it, Jason made a very correct decision. Yes, what the young master said makes sense. Wei Lian, you can stay. Marty echoed Jason. Well, the work here is equally important, and I will leave it to you here. Karate also agreed with Jason's decision and said to Villian, Okay then, I'm also afraid that if I go too many times, I'll hold you back. Since the young master said so, I'll stay. Wei Lian said obediently, and Wei Lian also knew that now was not the time to be brave. If, as Jason said, she was exhausted on the way, they would have to find someone to take care of her. Then let's go. Don't waste time. Jason saw that Villian's psychological work had been done, so he said to Marty and Galati, No problem. Let's go. Mati said in a high-spirited manner, put the bamboo basket on his back, and set off first. Seeing Marty's fighting spirit, Jason's heart was full of energy again, and he set off, followed by Galadi. This time his speed was still fast. In less than half an hour, he had sent back a pile of blue stones and set off again. After lying back and forth like this for 4 or 5 times, Wei Lian's speed of building alone could not keep up with the speed of the 3 of them carrying the blue stone. 2 hours later, a pile of blue stones as high as a person was piled up beside Wei Lian. The anger of Jason and the others was gradually exhausted, and they were wheezing and panting all the way. The Cat Viper, who was standing in the dark watching them, smiled slightly, stroked the lion beside him, and said to himself, The real test begins now. Jason and his team, who set off for the 6th run, were all sweating profusely, panting heavily, and their speed was obviously much slower. Galati looked back at Marty, who was gradually being left behind by them, stopped, smiled, and said to Marty, Hey, what's going on? You are a person who has to run more than a dozen times, and this is only the 6th command. Can't you do it? Marty kept panting heavily, His anger had already been used up on the way back from the last trip, and he used his physical strength to hold on until now. Marty, if you can't go back and have a rest, don't go this time. Seeing Marty's appearance, Jason obviously couldn't do it anymore, so he persuaded Marty. No, I'm fine. No problem. I'm just a little slower. Marty wiped the sweat off his face with his thick arm, waved his hand, and said to Jason, if you really can't do it, you don't have to hold on. Go and rest. We won't laugh at you. Galati also persuaded Maddie. Are you annoying? I said I can. Young master, let's go, don't waste time. Marty said impatiently. After all, he continued to stride towards the mountain. Oh, this guy. Jason looked at Marty's stubborn back, smiled and shook his head, but had no choice but to follow. On this trip, Jason and Galati also deliberately slowed down, keeping within 5 meters of Marty and keeping a distance from Marty. When they came to the mountain, everyone filled their bamboo baskets again. Mati, who did not admit defeat, also filled his bamboo basket to the brim. Marty squatted on the ground and carried the bamboo basket on his body, gritted his teeth, roared angrily, and used his own strength to lift a basket of bluestones weighing nearly 200 caddies. Marty, don't dress up, Jason said and came to Maddie's side. Want to take out some of the bluestones in his frame so that Maddie could share some of the burden. Unexpectedly, just as Jason was going to pick up the bluestone in the horse box, Marty grabbed Jason's arm. Don't worry, young master. I can do it, Marty said to Jason, holding Jason's hands stretched out to prepare the bluestone. Can you really do it? Jason didn't want to trust Mati at all. He knew that Mati was just trying to hold on, because he felt very tired, let alone Mati, who had used up all his anger. I've said I can do it, young master. Why don't you believe me? Then you can see how I can carry this bamboo basket and bluestone back. Gritting his teeth, Marty tried his best to move his footsteps and walk down the mountain. Looking at Marty's trembling body, Jason said nothing more, because Jason could also understand Marty's current mood. That is the pride of a man. What are you two still doing in a daze? Are you two going to die? Marty, who had already walked more than -meters, saw that Jason and Galati were still standing still. So he turned his head and said to the two of them. After listening to Marty's words, Jason and Galati looked at each other and smiled, then carried their respective bamboo baskets and followed Marty. Jason and the others walked very slowly this time. 10 minutes afterwards, they barely reached the halfway up the mountain. Facing the steep and rugged mountain road, Mati, who was exhausted and supported entirely by his breath, moved his feet and sat down directly on the ground. Marty, seeing that Marty fell down, Jason and Galati, who were following Marty, immediately put the bamboo basket on their backs on the ground and walked quickly to Marty's side. Jason came to Marty's side, took off the bamboo basket on his back, and let Marty lean on the bamboo basket. If you can't do it, take a break. You don't need to work so hard. Jason said to Marty, I'm sorry, young master. I seem to be holding you back. Marty couldn't even lift his arms now. What are you talking about? You've done a good job, so you can rest well. Leave the rest to me and Galati, Jason said, and turned his head to look at Galati next to him. Are you worried that we won't finish the job and you won't be able to eat? Don't worry. Will we make you hungry? Galati lightly punched Marty and joked. Okay. Don't read my jokes here anymore. Go away quickly. Leave me alone. Marty was too lazy to argue with Galati now. He closed his eyes and lay directly on the ground and said to Jason and Galati, Then how can we do that? How can we leave you here alone? Now that I'm talking, the sun is about to set and your anger is exhausted again. How can we leave you alone in this wilderness? Let's go, I'll carry you on my back. I'll take you back first and then talk about it. After Jason finished speaking, he didn't hesitate and directly lifted Marty up. Young master, what are you doing? How can you carry bluestone like this? Marty said to Jason that he didn't expect Jason to make such a decision. Even if he wanted to take him back, he thought it might be Galati who would carry him, but he didn't expect Jason to go into battle himself. If we can't carry the bluestone, we'll just make another trip. After all, Jason started to walk down the mountain with Marty on his shoulders. Galati was also inspired at this time. He even carried 2 baskets of bluestones on his shoulders and gritted his teeth. The veins on his forehead were violent get up and followed behind Jason with difficulty. It's been nearly an hour since Jason and the others set off this trip, but they haven't returned yet. Villian, who was waiting for them in the pigsty, was also very anxious. The bluestone Villian that Jason and the others had carried back before had already been built. 2/3 of the entire pigsty has been completed, but Jason and the others haven't come back after such a long trip, and Villian is really not happy. She has been staring at the distance, looking forward to Jie's son and the others appeared in her sight. Could they have encountered some angry beast? Or did they accidentally fall down the mountain? Or are they all exhausted? Let's rest. While waiting, Wilean was thinking wildly in her heart. Finally, under the setting sun, Jason appeared in her sight, holding half a frame of bluestones in one hand and a horse in the other. There was also a figure carrying 2 baskets of bluestones following Jason. Behind, young master, brother. Villian waited closer, saw the faces of Jason and Galade, shouted loudly, and rushed towards Jason and Galade. It's great. It's finally here. After Jason said something, he threw the half-frame bluestone in his hand heavily on the ground. After putting down the horse, he fell heavily to the ground and fainted from exhaustion. Galady didn't get there either, and after putting down the 2 bamboo baskets of bluestones in his hands, he lay down on the ground and fell asleep. Young master, brother. Seeing that both of them had fallen down before and after, Wei Lian was a little flustered and at a loss. Don't worry, they're all fine. They're probably just exhausted, and they should be fine after a night's rest. Cat Viper suddenly walked over from the side and said to the flustered and bewildered Wei Lian, I thought they couldn't finish this lap at all, but I didn't expect these boys to actually finish it. Cat Viper looked at Jason and the other 3 people with a smile and said, Don't worry, even if they all fall down, won't there still be me? We will fix your pigsty. As Wei Lian said, she picked up a bamboo basket and was ready to set off to carry bluestones. Okay, let's come here today. After they have rested, let's talk about it. Let my pigs be squeezed for a few more days. Cat Viper stopped Villian, who was about to set off, and said, A ray of sunlight shone through the window in the morning and fell on Jason's face. Jason frowned under the strong sunlight and slowly opened his eyes and found himself in a wooden house with his whole body stripped off, lying on the bed. Stubborn. With a sound, the door suddenly opened. Cat Viper walked in with a slightly wretched smile and said to Jason, Little lion, are you awake? Jason saw the Cat Viper walking in, immediately wrapped the quilt tightly, and looked at the Cat Viper with a frown. Why am I here? Did you do something to me? Jason said to Cat Viper in a flustered tone. Cut, you are a man. What can I do to you? Don't disgust me. You all passed out from exhaustion yesterday. I brought you to the house to rest. If there is no one else here, I will not undress for you. Cat Viper said to Jason with a look of disgust. Oh, so that's it. Jason breathed a sigh of relief, paused, adjusted his attitude, and said to Mal Viper, Thank you, Senior. Thank you. Don't think that you will be fine just like this. After you rest, you will continue to build my pigsty. Cat Viper said to Jason angrily. That's for sure. After I get some rest, the first thing I will do is to build the senior's pigsty. That's for sure. After I get some rest, the first thing I will do is to build the senior's pigsty. Jason promised Cat Viper without hesitation. Okay, then you should rest quickly. After the Cat Viper said a word, it left. Seeing that the Cat Viper left, Jason was lying on the bed again. His muscles were still so sore that he couldn't even squeeze his fist tightly. Otherwise, he might get up immediately and continue to finish building the pigsty. Work. Just after Mal Viper left, Wei Lian came in with a night of hot porridge. Young master, are you awake? Villian said, and came over and sat beside Jason's bed. Well, how about it? Were you exhausted yesterday? Jason asked Villian. No, I was just laying stones yesterday. How could I be tired if I transported stones back and forth? Villian said, and handed Jason the porridge in her hand. Jason stretched out his sore arm with great difficulty and caught the porridge handed over by Villian, who knew that as soon as Villian let go, Jason's hand couldn't make any effort at all, and the bowl fell directly on Jason's body. On the quilt, the hot porridge spilled directly on Jason's quilt. Afraid of scalding Jason, Wei subconsciously grabbed Jason's quilt and pulled him aside. At the moment when Wei pulled the quilt, Jason suddenly realized that he was still naked, but Jason, who was weak in his hands, couldn't grab Wei at this time, so he could only watch Wei pull the quilt from his body. His body was ripped off. After Wei threw Jason's quilt aside, she quickly turned around and asked Jason, "Young master, you didn't get burned?" After seeing Jason's naked body, Villian immediately ran out screaming and covering her face. Jason was left naked and messy on the bed. "What's wrong? What happened?" Cat Viper, who heard the commotion, quickly came to Jason's room, where he saw Jason naked on the bed, and the DD who was doing morning exercises was particularly eye-catching. "I rely on you, bastard." Cat Viper suddenly didn't know what to say and just stood at the door blankly. "Listen, I'm absolutely innocent in this matter. I didn't do anything. You took off the clothes, and the quilt was ripped off by Villian, and it's not under my control. It's on its own." Jason suppressed his embarrassment and calmly explained to Cat Viper. "Should I trust you?" Cat Viper asked Jason a little dully. "You have to believe me. You don't know my current state. It takes a lot of effort to lift an arm. How is that possible?" Jason said anxiously to Cat Viper. Okay, I believe in you. I believe in you." After saying that, Cat Viper made a gesture to turn around and leave. "Hey, Senior, don't leave yet. Give me the quilt." "Senior," Jason shouted hastily. A few hours later, Jason rested for another morning, and his body was almost recovered, and he finally got out of bed. Jason got dressed and was about to find something to eat. He hadn't eaten for a long time. Finally, Villian brought a bowl of hot porridge in the morning. He hadn't finished his mouth yet. "I can't bear the hunger." Just as Jason walked out of the room, he ran into Villian, who was walking towards his room with some food. After what happened in the morning, Villian saw Jason, and her face turned red to the base of her neck. Jason also felt a little embarrassed, smiled embarrassedly, and said to Wei, "I'm sorry that morning. That's because it happened to be in the morning, so anyway, you should know that I'm not bad at all the idea, no? It's just that I have no idea at all." "Well, I get it. I'm actually to blame for that incident. It's me who tore up your quilt, young master, without even thinking about it. I'm to blame." Villian lowered her head and said to Jason in a voice so small that she couldn't hear it unless she listened carefully. I don't blame you. You also have good intentions, and you were just afraid of burning me." Jason scratched his head and said with a smile, "That, young master, you haven't eaten for so long. I brought you a few simple meals. You should hurry up and eat while it's hot." Villian changed the subject and said to Jason, "Thank you." As Jason said, he was about to reach out to catch the meal in Villian's hand. I'd better send it to the young master and put it on the table for you." Walian looked at this familiar scene and felt nervous for a while. She quickly refused to pass the food in her hand to Jason. Instead, she delivered it to Jason's room and placed the food firmly on the table. "Young master, hurry up and eat. I won't bother you. I have to go and see how my brother is doing now." After Villian put the food on the table, she turned her head and said something to Jason, then quickly left Jason's room. "Then thank you very much," Jason said to Villian politely. When Villian walked to the door, she suddenly poked her head over again. What? Wei, do you have anything else to do?" Seeing that Villian turned back again, Jason asked Villian, "I didn't expect, young master, that your baby is quite energetic." After finishing speaking, Villian ran away like the wind and disappeared, leaving only Jason standing in a mess in the wind. "This little girl is really—" Jason rubbed his forehead and murmured to himself somewhat unacceptably. After a whole day of rest, Jason was almost recovered early the next morning. He got up early in the morning and wanted to finish the pig pen that they had not finished that day. Stretching and yawning, Jason came to the hut of Viper the cat. The three of Garati and the others came here early, waiting for Jason. "Why are you so early?" Jason thought he was early enough, but he didn't expect to be the last one. We had just arrived. Young master, how is your recovery? Galati asked Jason with concern. Very well, after a day of rest. I now feel that all the muscles in my body are full of energy. As Jason said, he bent his arms and pointed his biceps to Galati and the others. When Marty saw Jason, his eyes were filled with apologies. He lowered his head in shame and said to Jason, "It was all my fault that day. I was the one who dragged you down, young master. I'm really right." "Hey, what are you talking about? If you really feel sorry for me, you should do your best today and make up for it with actions." Jason interrupted Marty and stopped him from talking. "Don't worry, young master. Today I will work harder than the day before. Don't worry, young master. Today I will work harder than the day before yesterday." After hearing Jason's words, Marty immediately replied to Jason, "Well, I believe you. Okay, today we are still doing the same thing. Let Wei Lian stay, and the three of us will carry the blue stone. The pigsty will be completed soon. We should be able to complete it in just a few trips. Nonsense, no more words. Let's take action." Jason encouraged everyone. "Today I have to carry 200 caddies each time." After speaking, Marty picked up the bamboo basket full of energy and set off first. "You'd better think carefully before you end up asking the young master to carry you back." Galati and Marty bickered. "Hey, let me tell you, if you don't play against me for a day, Galati, you won't be happy, will you?" Marty frowned and asked Galactica, "It's because you are too reckless every day. I just remind you, if I didn't think about the overall situation, I wouldn't bother to talk to you." Galati gave Marty a white look and said to Marty, "You guy, okay, you two, stop arguing. It's early in the morning, and there are birds singing and flowers blooming everywhere. You two are arguing here how much it affects the atmosphere." Jason interrupted the conversation between Galati and Marty and said, "I'm sorry, young master. Please forgive me." Galati immediately said to Jason respectfully, "Okay, I've already said that you don't need to be so polite to me. Compared to the master-servant relationship, I still prefer that we have a brotherly relationship." As Jason said, he put his arms around Garrity's shoulders and said to Garrity with a smile, "Okay, from now on, we will call the young master your elder brother. What do you think, young master?" Marty came up to Jason and said, "Am I that old? How old are you, Marty?" Jason asked Marty. Jason was reborn, and now he has just returned to his youth, so he doesn't want to be called the big brother just like that. "Me, I'm only 22. Marty scratched his head and said to Jason, "You are 22, Galadi is 23. I'm the youngest among us. Why, it's not my turn to be the big brother, right?" Jason said quite proudly that in his previous life, he hadn't felt like being the youngest in a group for a long time, and Jason still enjoyed the feeling of being the youngest at this moment. "But you are the young master," Galati said to Jason. "What's the matter with you, Kaladi? Didn't I tell you everything? We are brothers. No one here is the young master. If you think about it that way, you and I are both nobles. What do you mean to make Marty a commoner? Why do you always look after our two horses?" Jason turned his head and said to Kaladi with an unhappy look on his face, "Don't dare not. I absolutely didn't mean that. Young master, you misunderstood." Galactic quickly explained to Jason, "It's fine if you don't have one. From today on, according to age distribution, you will be the eldest brother, Maddie will be the second brother, and I will be the third brother. Wei Lian is a few months younger than me, so she will be the fourth sister." Jason didn't care about his identity and assigned lanes to everyone. "Isn't this bad? If Master Dao knows about this. When did you become so cowardly, Galadi? Unlike Ga La Di, who wanted to kill me for a woman. How bloody were you at that time? Why are you such a dick?" Jason turned his head and asked Galactica, "Hey, you want to kill the third brother because of a woman, so you still have this kind of past, brother? Come on. Talk to the second brother." When Marty heard Jason's words, he immediately went to Galadi's side and asked Galadi. Regarding Jason's arrangement, Marty, a guy who had never received any aristocratic education since he was a child, integrated very quickly. Shouted, Go. Why are you there?" Gallaty waved to Maddie angrily, telling him to go away. Haha, I was also a participant in that incident. He didn't tell you, come on, second brother. I'll tell you. Jason smiled and called Marty over. He was going to tell Marty about that. That's right. Come on, tell me what's going on. When Marty heard Jason's words, he rushed to Jason's side and asked Jason. The three of them talked and laughed back and forth between the Bluestone Mountain and the pigsty. Under such a cheerful atmosphere, a few hours passed without knowing it. Who? Wylian took a deep breath, wiped the sweat off her forehead, and looked at the expanded pigsty in front of her, feeling relieved for a while. Finally done, Wei Lian patted the dust on her little hand and said with her waist, Little pigs, your luxurious big pigsty is finally built. Now you can have fun in it to your heart's content. Jason called to the litter of piglets. Our pigsty has been built. Should we go to the old man for some food? I'm about to faint from hunger. Marty rubbed his stomach and said. As soon as Marty's words fell on his stomach, he yelled, which was very appropriate. It made Jason and the others laugh. Second brother, look at your belly. You're still thinking about eating every day. Villian rubbed Marty's protruding belly and said to Marty, I can't help it. I'm born with a big appetite. What can I do? Maddie said helplessly. Even so, you have to pay attention to your figure. Obesity will make your movements unconsciously slow down. Gallaty came over and said to Marty, Well, this time I agree with eldest brother. Second brother, you really need to lose weight. The day before yesterday, I thought it would be easier to carry you than carrying that basket of bluestones. I didn't expect that you would be heavier than that basket of bluestones. Now it's really time for you to lose weight. Otherwise, if we encounter some danger in the future, you'll be injured and some of us can't carry you, and we'll be in trouble. Jason patted Marty on the shoulder and joked with Marty. Losing weight? You can't stop eating. May I eat less? Marty rubbed his stomach and asked everyone in embarrassment. Seeing Marty's pitiful appearance, everyone burst into laughter again. Smell good. Just as Jason and the others were laughing, Marty smelled the aroma of the food and sniffed it vigorously a few times. The tangy aroma of the food almost made his saliva drool. It smells so good. It seems that Senior Cat Viper has already prepared food for us. Let's go. Let's hurry over and have a look. Jason was actually very hungry, and he couldn't control himself when he smelled the fragrance. Soon, Jason and the others followed the scent and came to Cat Viper's kitchen. Seeing the situation in the kitchen, Jason's eyes lit up.